Yeah, it's been fun because the joining, because it's kind of funny. Here I was a direct competitor with the Axial guys. Well, at least I felt I was with the Rtr stuff against Axial. And I knew Matt and Brandon. I knew all those guys, and everybody's really cool. Jeff and John Schultz and all those guys. And so it's kind of strange when they kind of ended up joining us when obviously Hobbyco filed bankruptcy and we took over. But the transition was really good because it was already an established, relationship there with the guys. So it actually kind of worked out pretty well, and kind of getting them used to our system, to their system, that type of stuff, and it's been good. And I think one of the things that the biggest advantage with us taking over was the fact that, and I shouldn't even say take over, joining is really what it came down to. Is that we were able to take advantage of our technical call outs on our engineering side as well as materials, which a lot of people have seen in the Capra and the SEX-10-3. So,
yes,
yeah.
there's definitely been an improvement in the quality of the plastics. First in the Capra, and then now definitely in the STX-10-3. Certain compounds I've never even really seen before outside of the low Z end of things, but like the new shock towers that are on this truck are definitely a much more robust plastic, and that's evidenced by most people having to tap those before they put any screws in.
Right. Yeah, that's been the challenge. Is like you have that fine balance, and I'm sure Josh can relate when you're working on new vehicles and stuff. Is how do you come up with a material that's strong enough, but then you have to give for it's going to be a pain to thread a screw into it at the same time, and you do try to adjust the tolerances on the whole, but for the screw. Sorry, I had something blink in my ear. It was a message for an email. Um, like the whole tolerances and stuff have to change a little bit for something like that. So you kind of give and take, and that's why I try to give everybody a warning about that. Take it easy
Right.
or
Absolutely.
some grease.
Yeah, I think I finally have my
that's
audio.
That's one other thing that we can quickly mention. Oh, great.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing
I let you have your moment.
Conversation.
Except when I talk and then all of a sudden it gets blown out again. But I think, anyway, I've adjusted levels. We're about as good as I think I'm going to get. So I've let you have your moment now with Rich. Matt, do you feel better?
Thanks, Rich. I really enjoyed this conversation. I'll just head out now.
Oh man.
Yeah, the whole plastics world is all different to me. Obviously we had Brandon who works for us, which was an Axial guy before, and he brought on a lot of that what he'd learned. But yeah, just still some of those differences and just building one kit versus another. Like back in the day when the first Viterra kit came out that we got to use, like I remember putting that thing together and how tight the hole tolerances were, but just how much more, rigid those things were as they went together and it is cool to see how you guys have taken some of those things that you preferred and all of the other kits that you had done and moved that over now. So it's,
yeah. That was the frustrating about the Viterra thing too, was that we had made such better materials, in my opinion, back then, and tightened up all the tolerance and stuff, but we missed on things that we didn't know about. We decided to use the twin hammers transmission, which had the reduction of the transmission, and we used the smaller, ring and pinion, which the designer at the time wasn't really aware of how the high point stuff worked and that type of stuff. So we struggled with the torque twist. And then we put the biggest, giantest body you could put on it to exaggerate that torque twist even more, which wasn't my decision for that body size. That was kind of the fun stuff in dealing as a project manager. Sometimes you have other people that you work with that have to want to make some of those decisions. So you got to roll with some of those decisions.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
And as times have changed and things like that, it's like, that Viterra body of the day, maybe would have done a lot better now versus how it did then. People have embraced more of the large body and things like that, and but at the time there wasn't anything like driving that lunchbox through the rocks. Like it was
right. It was bad. It was so frustrating. I mean, there's been several of them, that I've struggled with. The Suburban, as a matter of fact. Oh my gosh, I couldn't stand that body. But you know what? It actually sold really, really well. I mean, I wish we could have done more. I got beat up over the fact, I took the beating personally. Not that anybody knew it was me, but it's funny that we put that fourth door on the Suburban.
Yeah.
Well, please understand, Chevrolet reviewed the designs and approved it. I didn't know anything about a Suburban that they only have 3 doors. I didn't know that. So as soon as it comes out, people are like, "What the heck's this other door?" I'm like, "What are they talking about?" Oh man. So, but that's some of the challenges that you're dealing with. I'm juggling. Back then it was 6 to 10 projects at a time. Including double colors or maybe different variations, but you're doing 6 vehicles, 7 vehicles at one time, all in different phases of the process. And then you have to watch for a 4th door that you would assume was there and you didn't. It wasn't. You miss, and then you get beat up over that. It's like, oh, I know, it was bad.
See, if you just make nondescript, semi-relatable bodies and put those on kits, you can say it's whatever you want.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But then we get, why didn't they license it?
No, it's honestly that, the licenses and things like, that how nicely that the Jeep JL body is on the new SCX3 is fantastic. And it was done so well.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. What I was going to say is that Matt Kearney, he's a AA MCO owner now, Amco transmission owner, but that was a fun transition for myself as well, because he really pushed on those details. And, we need to have this, we need to have that. And, we all have all these meetings and I want to do this, I want to do that. But then as a product developer, I also have to balance out what the budget's going to be for tooling. I have to lay all that stuff out in cost. But luckily, Matt pushed for it and I pushed for it too as a PD, and we were able to get a lot of those details in there. So, Matt was a huge part of making sure those details were part of the project. That's for sure.
Yeah, Matt's always had his own style as well, and you can see it come through things, and it's nice.
Yeah.
It does appear that Horizon puts a lot into, or is fine with putting a lot into tooling of a project, which you can see a lot of other so sometimes a lot of reuse is done just to keep tooling costs down, and the new SCX 10.3 is all new basically, it seems, and so.
Yeah, it was it was interesting that the Viterra was a real test at the beginning, because all the touring car stuff was pretty highly detailed in general. I mean, it didn't have an interior, but we did a lot of molded parts on it, and then we tried to do some of that with the Ascender line as well. But we didn't have a lot of success sales wise, and so there was some tentativeness that we had to prove when it came to the Axial side, which they believed in Axial right off the bat. I mean, obviously they were excited about it. They wouldn't have bought it if they didn't think it could be successful. But you just have to change your mindset on some of the things you're willing to spend at the beginning to make it look better. So it's been really cool that the leadership has been supportive of throwing these extra details in there, making it happen.
Yeah, that's
really good news.
Yeah, to see that.
It's good to hear that, because at the corporate level, it's sometimes hard to understand what the enthusiasm from the enthusiast is all about.
Right.
And Axial had a lot of very passionate enthusiasts, with a lot of expectations of, from the previous, leadership at Axial. And so I know Horizon had big shoes to fill, and not everyone was going to be happy with that. So
yeah, and that was a tough transition as well, because you did have Axial, which was kind of a smaller run by itself business. You had John Schultz, you had all the guys that have been with it for so long, but obviously once a company ends up taking it over, I mean, the way our system works, it would be too hard to keep multiple people doing the same thing, that it just didn't fit. As a small company like that, it made more sense to have certain people doing so many certain things. But the way Horizon does it, we're a little bit more, for lack of a better term, efficient. And we try to, there's a reason why Horizon is as strong as it is. And I was part of it. I was cut, a few years ago, because they made tough decisions on, hey, we need to tighten up the belts. Let's get the surface industry or RC industry where we need it to be. Let's stay healthy. And we're able to do that. And that put us in a position to acquire Axial. Unfortunately, some people couldn't stay. Some people decided to leave on their own. But the cool part is that Matt stayed for quite a long time to get the SCX 10.3 out. Randall is still around. Randall is a key part. He's the Mr. Jeep, Ecto Adventures on Instagram, and goes out and does all these Jeep runs. Scott Roberts, who did all the artwork, box arts, all that type of stuff, he's still involved. So that's why you still have that Axial flavor. But the other thing too is that I have that passion. I like to go off-roading. I like to be a part of that scene. I don't have a Jeep like freaking Randall has. He's always giving me a hard time for my Toyota. But
yeah, it's really unfortunate.
We're still trying to maintain that. It's one of those things that we're still trying to maintain that. And I think that we've been able to do a pretty good job so far. But there's still transitions. The marketing guys are a little different from how it used to be with Rodney and with John. I mean, it's kind of a different way of doing things, but it's not going anywhere, and we're going to take care of it and do the best that we can with the brand. So everybody who freaks out saying that everybody thought we were going to screw up Axial Fest.
Right.
They were just waiting for that bomb to explode.
And then of course, with the unavoidable issue of the, Cisco Grove thing, it just fed into the fire. But,
oh yeah,
last year I had a blast at Axial Fest, and there is a portion of the Cisco Grove part that is missed. That everybody being,
I agree.
The camping is just so nice. However, the terrain and how like the vendor area was set up and how all that went, I preferred the new location. It kind of brought everybody through. The vendors were all in a row where everybody walked through and met all day and talked, and that was great. And then the terrain, I think, at Donaher is so much better than Cisco. So
yeah, it's a brutal climb
rocks
for some of those guys, but the rocks and all the stuff out there is just rad. It's just awesome.
Yeah, it definitely
is.
For
sure. But I agree, and we agree too. We wish we could go back to Cisco, but I know some of you guys have been there and seen how it looks now and what their plans are. It's just not going to work going back there again. No. So it's just it is what it is. But like I said, the Horizon staff, Andy and a bunch of the guys, I mean, they just want it to be kick ass. We busted our ass for 12 days solid straight through, and I thought it was pretty successful. We learned a lot, and we're going to definitely do a lot more for this year if it goes off. At this point, it's still on.
Right.
So I'm sure that's a question being asked. I can't see any questions or anything.
Yeah, we'll get to all the good ones.
Yeah, I know that's one of them. But as far as I know, and we have a weekly meeting on Thursdays with the team. We're still hanging on and hope that we can make them happen. But this situation is so unusual. Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, it's not like anybody's experienced a pandemic, so you
right.
kind of have to go with your gut, right? And if it happens, it happens, and if it has to be postponed, it gets postponed. And I think that more people are a little more easygoing with that idea nowadays than they would have been, say, last year.
Right.
But I know I'm certainly looking forward to at least one of those Axial Fest events this year, and it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, I'm just hoping at least one, hopefully both, but man, it's sketchy. Who knows?
Yeah, I was going to plan to try and make it to both, and if both of them happen, I still don't think I'll be able to make it to Badlands, just because I think at this point it'd be such short notice to try and travel. But
right.
I think it is cool that you guys did decide to do two. I think that the east half of the country will really appreciate that, because while there isn't as many people, the events in the Midwest and the East Coast aren't as big as a lot of West Coast events, but
right.
That doesn't mean that there isn't still a lot of people who would enjoy it and have a lot of fun. So it's cool to see.
Yeah, well, let me address a little bit of that though. As close as we are to the East, there's a lot of East Coast people pissed off that we didn't go far East.
Yeah. Oh, that's.
We got beat up pretty hard about that. But one of the things I want to address about that, while I got, and hopefully some of those guys are watching, is it's not that we don't want to go to the East Coast or go wherever. It's just there was an opportunity at the Badlands. There's a chance to do a second event. It's closer for you guys on the East Coast, at least. Let's try that. But we don't have anybody established necessarily on the East Coast that could say, here's a venue, here's where we could do it, here's what's involved. But the guys at Badlands, we have a relationship with it, and they're the ones that came up and say, hey, that'd be awesome if you guys did an Axial Fest here. All right, cool, let's do it. So we announce it, and then, of course, we got beat up that it's not on the East Coast. Guys, We'll get there. It's just we need to let's get this one by first, and then we can go further east. You know, it someday it'll happen.
Yeah.
But gosh,
Yeah, you
And
gotta
last year-
start somewhere.
well, yeah. Well, last year was a complaint that there's not going to be an Axial Fest, or it's going to suck, and they're going to blow it. And then we come up with two of them, and now they're pissed that we're not going somewhere else. It's like you can't win.
I think you're always going to be fighting an uphill battle on where an event takes place.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, the thing about the West Coast Axial Fest, the original Axial Fest, is that there's not a lot of places in North America that you can go and have that kind of event and that size of event and have the terrain to match. And it's honestly, it's one of those things that if you've never been, it's one of those things I definitely recommend people go to, because it's not just about the trucks and the terrain. It's about the people. It's about the camaraderie. It's about the whole experience. And there's more to it than just tiny trucks, although that is a pretty big part.
Yeah, it's super fun.
Yeah, that's, you know, there's so much to that. And I know that the guys at Horizon had 1 year with the crew from the, you know, previous Axial Fests and getting to see kind of how that went. And Rich, you were there. I know even, but within the RC4 Drive day, was that your first one?
Yeah, actually, well, I went to the original West Coast Challenge.
Yep, way back in the
way back in
2009.
Way back.
Yeah, and then I think that's what it was, man. It's a long time. I was just looking at pictures the other day, as a matter of fact. I was digging up some old pictures and found some from there.
Or
Polaroids, black and white. I had my little tent and my flash and stuff. But yeah, so RC four-wheel drive, that first year that I went with them, I went two RC four-wheel drive events, and then I did the one after that with Axial for our first time. But that one I wasn't really a big part because we had just transitioned into ownership of Axial.
Right.
John and all those guys were doing their thing. I just came along to kind of help out, and we kind of just watched, really. I mean, I just got to hang out and drive a little bit and do what I could to help out.
Yeah, something had just released at that. Oh, the Blazer had basically just come out at that point. So
That's right.
I remember.
Yep.
Yeah, you had your race paint theme on everything.
Heck yeah, flame job, dude. Hey, I can't paint for crap, and I got Bradley Fine Line Designs. So I'm gonna throw a shout out to him. He's been painting my bodies for years, so I'm just like, I'm just gonna use those colors, and that's it. It's my race job. It's everything I get. I don't care if it's scale or not. I'm running my flames.
Yeah, it's on your Unimog. It's on your Jeep.
Yeah.
It's on your Bomber. It's on everything.
Every car I've got my flame job on there. So, you know, it's my deal. Hey, but at least with the SX, they have an interior.
For anybody, true. Okay, that's fair. But for anybody who hasn't seen it, do you have one handy? Did you bring one home?
I have.
There's one in his rafters behind him. Like I can see it from here.
Hey, there it is.
That. And then I don't know if you can see it, but up there's my old Triple XT race body.
Nice.
I got my com crawler box back there. It's kind of like way behind me back there.
Yeah. Let me tell you, Matt.
It was my. Yeah.
I don't care about.
You know, it's funny
We'll just
if you
stop
want
that conversation there.
Well, I don't mind talking a little bit about that comp crawler issues. You know, like I said, what Harley used to give me a pretty hard time back then. But I'll tell you what. One of the funny stories was, so I did all the testing. We spent tons of time testing. Everything is solid. Everything works great. We get the crawlers. They come out, get them out there on the market. And all of a sudden, people are like, my worm gears are melting my axles. I'm like, what is going on? And I could not figure it out. Luckily, some guy on the board, and I don't think it was you, Harley, it was someone else, I think, had discovered and noticed that the worm gears. Yeah, I mean, Josh, they call it Harley. One of the worm gear angles were off. So I'm like, what the heck? Well, I opened up 5 vehicles and ran them. And I should have bought a lottery ticket because not one of them had a problem. And then I released them to production or to, release them from the warehouse. They're good to go, ship them. Well, it turns out that the machine shop that was cutting the worm gears had a new guy working on the machine. Now, whatever jig they had set up, however they did it, apparently he had it in backwards. He cut 550, I think, of those worm gears backwards. I was like, oh, flip the thing. However the tool, I mean, you would know, Josh. I don't know how all the tooling works, that stuff. Flipped it, corrected it, and just kept chucking them in the same box. So then they went to heat treat. They got black oxided, and then they were all tumbled and mixed. And so it was random when you got a bad one. That's why not everybody had a bad one. On top of that, when they went to cut the axle shafts or the CV shaft itself, they ended up using a cutting tool, like a blade, instead of a ball end mill, I think is what they're supposed to use. So it cut into the neck of the drive shaft. And I see people starting to break, and I'm like, what the heck? I get a sample. My son is like 2 years old. I'm all, here, turn this. He goes, pink. I'm like, oh my God. Dude, I probably spent, I would say, 3 weeks, 4 weeks maybe, myself, repacking parts and personally sending them out myself because our customer service was too busy doing all our other vehicles. I personally packaged every replacement part that I sent to every person I could get a hold of through RC Crawler, through lowc.com, through our customer service. That was a nightmare because it was a solid rig.
Right.
It just got killed with those two big issues, and it was hard to come back.
And back in the when that kind of came out, worm gears are, they're kind of inherently a little bit more inefficient, just with how much contact and wear there is. That, and it was kind of in the days, like, what was it? Jay Robinette, was he one of your guys?
Yep.
I can't remember, what was his, Rubberneck on RCC?
Yeah, Rubberneck.
Yeah. He was, him and Jake back in the day, they were like kind of some of the first, they were running brushless systems. And that, because back then we didn't really have a brushless system that had anything like a drag brake, but a worm gear axle doesn't need a drag brake. They're like, yeah, we're running brushless, these 17.5s, and we're like, brushless in a crawler? You're crazy. This is ridiculous. Why should I ever run a brushless system and just some of those things, how they come with age, It's
it was something. It was really, like I said, it was a fun rig to drive. It just it got hurt. I mean, it goes to show. I mean, I learned a lot too, and you try to cover all those potential issues as much as you can, but it's still going to happen. We've gotten better at it, but that comp crawler,
it was so far outside of any of the norms, Was it? I can't remember if it was it before or after the Kyosho Rock Force with worm gears.
The Rock Force came out before.
Okay.
We actually didn't even have a sample. The engineer at the time, he was the one when we were talking about it. We wanted to come up with a nice compact gearbox. You know what? I'll tell you another interesting story too. I had the first opportunity to bring in the Berg, the en route Berg. I got one of the first samples, and they wanted us to carry it as a low-C crawler. And we got it. I tested it. It had the Claude stall on it, and I kind of drove it. And I was like, you know what? I was so traditionalist. I was like, these motor-on axles are stupid. We're going drive shaft, and then we wanted the ground clearance, so we went with the worm gears. And I was like, dude, I ended up going the total opposite direction of where it ended up. I even made the mistake of going with standard hardware and not metric hardware because low-C was all standard back in the days. So I'll admit, everything I could do, I picked backwards. We could have done the Berg first.
Right.
But
now,
it just, dude,
that is one thing. Was there any truth? Did low-C end up purchasing Berg at some point or purchasing the rights to distribute parts for them? No. Horizon,
I think Horizon had it for a little while.
Yeah, it was.
They were carrying some parts, but no, we didn't end up with any exclusive or anything like that. I remember hearing that story, and I was like, I
never heard any. I never saw anything that came to fruition that made me think that was true, but I had heard it, and I always wondered.
Yeah, I remember that story.
My favorite part about this whole thing, though, is just watching Matt as he's trying to like not glaze over and feign interest to comp crawler stuff.
I am so bored. You have no idea how bored I am right now. I'm dying of boredom. I don't even want to. I'm like, I might as well just turn this off. This is so uninteresting to me.
Oh my God, that's.
I'm glad you guys are having a good time. I really am. I did want to say real quick, it's really good news that Rich is at Axial now because he's on the phones every day handling all of the tech support issues you have. So he can talk to you 45, 50 minutes every day.
Well, we have his cell phone to give, right? Just in case the
yeah.
lines are busy.
I would really, yeah. I get all the I do a lot of the Facebook and Instagram stuff too, but I don't mind it. You know, everybody's pretty cool. They understand. So
yeah,
it's you know, you know how it is, Josh.
Yeah,
you deal with customers.
Right now, we
do our best.
We've got our shipping guys out, so some of us are handling shipping, which also means that some of us are handling the phones. So I'll answer the phone and I'll be talking. They'll be like, "Who is this?" "This is Josh." Like, "Hey."
Yeah, right. Or they're all, oh.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? I'll call back later.
Can I talk to that other guy?
There was one question from one of our viewers here, actually a couple of viewers, and I don't know if you can answer this or not yet, Rich, but they were asking about different wheelbase options for the SCX-10 III, and if there would be a longer wheelbase available at some point.
Yeah, so we got, there's 2 sets of links that'll be coming out. We're working on getting those things out there right now to make the wheelbases actually shorter. I'm sorry, not longer, but shorter. So we do have those 2 in process, so that way you can at least use the same size type of links, shorten up the wheelbase, and get the 12-inch and the 11.6 or 11.7. I can't remember off the top of my head. So we do have those. Those will be coming. You know, some people are going to ask, well, why can't you make it super long? Well, the problem is if you try to shorten it up, then you start bumping into the frame rail to get the super short wheelbases if you had an even longer frame rail set. So right now, if you lengthen it out, you can technically slide it out, but you're missing one of the mounting points on the skid plate, which maybe you can throw a washer in there. Maybe you could, I don't know how you want to
start
do it.
having
really
Toyota problems bending in the middle. You can put a Toyota body on it.
Yeah, you have Tacoma problem. So we're perfect.
I had another question that came in to me, specifically for you, Rich, and that was to inquire about smoke detector batteries.
Oh my gosh, dude! I actually, if I open my garage door, you can hear it. My neighbor has had his smoke detector battery dead for probably 18 months now, and it beeps every 30 seconds, and it's right above my bedroom. And it's actually become just so ridiculous. I don't even want to go buy him a 9-volt battery. I just want to see how long he will live with this thing like that. It's just beep every 30 seconds, 24 hours a day. And they live in the house, the room. I can hear it. The window's open. There's people that live in that room. And it's like, dude, I don't know how they do it. But yeah, so it's been a running joke for quite a long time of just, I randomly will go up every month or so and say, let's see, is it on? Click. You'll hear it. Yep, still on. Post it on my Instagram. Yeah, he still has the Christmas lights up. He still has like used bicycles. And keep in mind, I live in a decent neighborhood. You know, it's actually a nice little neighborhood. But you have that one neighbor, and I got that one neighbor with 16 cars and the Christmas lights, and he has a barbershop. His son built a barbershop in the 3rd garage, and like all of a sudden they're renters, so they moved in. All of a sudden, there's a whole bunch of cars, like random people. And I'm like, what the hell? So I called the cops because I had people just sitting out in front of my house. Well, I finally discovered they had an indoor barbershop. This guy's cutting hair. So the landlord comes by, and I tell him, and they bought it simply for an investment. I said, hey, you have there's a barbershop being run out of that house. He's like, well, at least they're not selling drugs. Yeah, I guess you're right. You know, it's
true. It's not wrong.
And don't get me wrong, they're really nice people, but they just don't care. They just, park this way and that way on the yard, and they have the dirt patch in the front yard and the Christmas lights hanging down. That they didn't even carry the Christmas lights all the way across the front of the garage. Like it went like 3/4 of the way, and they just, we're out of Christmas lights, so there it is. And they had them on for like 3 days before Christmas, and then they've just been hanging there since. So that's my world. I'll give you another example of how clueless they are. He actually does, they do power washing. Like that's his business. He does power washing stuff. like 10 o'clock at night, I hear it fire up. I'm like, what is he doing? He's power washing the backyard and all around the side of the house at 10 o'clock at night on like a Tuesday. Like, what are you doing? He's, oh, sorry, so sorry, so sorry. I'll turn it off, turn it off. The landlord was coming the next day, and he didn't want them to see all the junk on the side of his house, so that's why he power washing it at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, polishing the junk.
Yeah.
If you will.
That's my story. At least I got to talk a little bit about it. But yeah, those are my neighbors.
Who asked about that?
Well, it
How's
came
that a
up with
question?
that fire
How's that a
extinguisher,
question on our?
the fire smoke alarm. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, that's. Yeah. Oh, let's see. I did finally get my SCX-10.3 finished, so that I will be able to finally get that running. I haven't driven mine yet, so you two.
Oh, really?
Oh, Josh.
Yeah, you know. Hey, not all of us got it
How'd
a
the
month
paint come out?
early.
I knew it was going to be orange.
Yes, it's very orange.
Yeah, shocker! It's orange. Are you gonna show it off here? Go get it. Go get it. Here we go. Oh, it's okay. All right. I didn't know it was metallic. That looks much better than the pictures that you sent me earlier.
Look at that. Wow.
Closer.
Close.
I
forget. I'm looking at my big camera that's not working right now. Instead, and forget that I'm looking at this webcam. And then you see, there's a little.
No, the big cameras.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that. Oh, the driver's all detailed.
He's got a beard.
Oh, he's got a beard
and everything.
Nice. My guy still has a black shirt or a white shirt. That's been it. And I haven't done anything else to him.
Well, I've got my own head in mind.
So let me ask you this, Matt. How long have you been? So you're not obviously a comp guy. You've just always been scale stuff.
Yep, pretty much.
How long have you been doing that?
I got my first Tamiya kit when I was, I don't know, 14 probably, and that's 26, 27 years ago.
Oh, okay.
28 years ago. I've been doing it for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
But not, like I didn't really get into comp stuff until, I don't know, not that long ago, really. Comping is put on the like scale comps side of things. I never did any comp crawlers stuff. But yeah, I don't know, like 10, 11 years of comp stuff, give or take.
Okay.
I'm not good at
True.
it, but I enjoy it.
Right. True.
So, just yeah. Thanks.
I'm not either. I just like driving them and that's it. But I can't. You get me into comp, I get the shaky hands and I just fall apart.
Oh, yeah.
So I just
I'll
just drive around.
Comps aren't for everybody. They're not for everybody, but it does put a whole different kind of spin on the hobby. I think to compete in something that has to look like a real truck, but also has to perform not at all like a real truck. I think that's a fun challenge. That's what I like about it.
Yeah, I'm actually getting a little scared as to what's happening to the category, just because I was part of the comp crawling side of it, and I saw that die just because, I mean, the MOAs killed it, in my opinion. But, I've been seeing, as out here by my house, this Southridge Park is by my house. There's a lot of crawling. People like to go crawling up there. A lot of the clubs go up there. And I've been checking out some of the lines that they've been putting up there. Like they put little marks on them. And it's okay for them to do it there because they run downhill mountain bike races. So they paint arrows and stuff. So it's not too bad. So the guys paint the marks. And I'm looking at these lines like, oh my God, this is like comp crawler days. How are they doing this in scalers,
Right.
And I worry that that's the direction it's going, that we're going to comp ourselves out of this category, which is so much fun because it's just chill.
I know what you mean.
The way it started.
And I think that, well, in a lot of ways, I think that we're seeing some of the, the kits that are available now are so much more. I mean, some of these kits out of the box now are more capable than some of our early comp rigs. Like if you remember them, the tires are so much better. Suspension geometry, weight placement, all of that is just better. But then there is the side of things, specifically the flat rail chassis, and like that flat rail chassis, uber lightweight, barely to the letter of the rules.
Right.
And I'm poking fun at flat rail chassis, but that's it's like that that nature of things, of that super scale, and that side of it, it will continue to get pushed, and then it will likely die. But I think that these two paths kind of live on at the same time, and like I think that 99% of the cars that are ever sold are never going to be in a comp. So that comp side will push things, and it'll help drive some technology, that we use. Dig is something we've used forever. Overdrive is something that's been a thing forever in comp crawling. Some of these things that are being new to scale rigs are not new at all. We've been doing them since you and I were arguing on RC Crawler 15 years ago.
Right. I think the part that scares me though is like when you go to some of these little events and get-togethers. The fun part when it first started was that everybody's rig kind of sucked, and they could kind of get around, climb over stuff, put some weight in the front tires, call it a day. Excuse me. But now I worry that, like I saw with the comp crawling, is that you have these guys totally tricking out these rigs, pulling lines, and some guy comes up with his SEX-10-2 or his TRX-4 or whatever he might have, and now he can't do that stuff, and they kind of get deterred a little bit, like, why am I wasting time coming out here? The funnest part about crawling for me, because I've done everything. I've done all the racing stuff, touring car, gas racing. I managed a team. I traveled all over the world. I saw that part of it. And that's what I loved about crawling, was that it's like a group hanging out, chilling, having a good time, and it wasn't so crazy competitive, and everybody was a part of it. And it still is. Don't get me wrong. I mean, everybody's still really cool. I just worry that we might start getting it too far to the comp side and start intimidating people where they don't want to come out with their stock car and play, even though we're making them better.
Well,
I mean, the VS410,
the benefit,
the 610-3,
they are super capable. But what I think is really great about this hobby is that it is evolving in such a way that we're getting away from even class 2, 3. Class 1 is seeing a big resurgence, and class 0, which isn't officially recognized by the governing bodies yet, is becoming a huge thing. And those courses are easy. You could run them in a box stock, whatever, but they're making it more about the scale appearance and the scale realism, and making it more about the scale points and less about the actual capability of the vehicle. And I think that gives people who want to still have fun a opportunity to participate in. You do have to keep some of these things in check. Like class 3 isn't as popular as it used to be. I can say that, right, Josh?
I don't know. I mean, I think that all of the classes probably have as big a numbers as they ever have, just because of the growth of the hobby.
Okay.
But I don't, I think that, it's not like percentage wise of people that are interested. Maybe you don't see it as much.
Did the Scale Net sell out all 3 classes? Was it those 3 classes, right? Or was it 4?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think
sell out
I
all
don't think
3?
class 3 sold out.
No.
And I don't know if class 1 sold out.
Class 3 didn't.
Did class 1?
It didn't.
So, which is pretty
don't think
typical.
so.
Class 1. And again, it's kind of a nature, the nature of the competition side. It's the comp side of scale trucks is never the most popular side of it, because I mean, the thing is, like, you can throw a 5,000 milliamp battery in this thing, and you can literally just go drive for 3 hours at an event, and you don't know who won. It doesn't even really hardly matter.
No.
It's
No. And Axial Fest is a great example of that. Just driving all day long, having fun with your friends, pulling a few goofy lines just for the sake of doing it. Like Josh and I and a few other guys, Brandon and Chino, we would just go out and it would be follow the leader. And provided you didn't blow it, when you did blow it, you got to the end of the line and you just kept going. And it was just laughs and good times. And that, for me, is still always the most important part. Comps are fun for entirely different reasons. I like the challenge of trying to build within the rules. But the majority, like you said earlier, Josh, the majority of these trucks, when they're purchased, they will never see a comp. And most people will probably just be totally ignorant to the fact that they even exist.
Yeah.
Right.
This hobby is way bigger.
And then
than
they hear people,
small
refer
group
to all these things, C1 and C2, and they start seeing like a manufacturer come out with a truck like this, and they're like, well, if they would have, that's not going to be C2 legal.
That's not C2 legal.
Right.
For one, that doesn't matter because the rules are made for this very small. While I really enjoy competitions and going to them and participating. Like, big picture, they don't really matter that much, you know.
Right.
You know, they matter in like this in just some small certain ways. Like if I'm pro line, I'm not going to come out with a tire that's 4.8 inches tall. Like, why? Like, just make it 4.75 and fit a rule. Like, you
Right.
know, but
Right.
it's not going to also deter me from making this 5.5 inch tall 1.9 bogger because it doesn't fit well in C1 or C2 and it's a poor choice for like whatever. Like, it's a pretty small niche. And
Well, I guess at the same time too, it's kind of that's the same thing like with the Jeep body, the Jeep choice. You know, we got beat up by some hardcore people about another Jeep. Well, sorry people, Jeeps sell, and that's my job. My job is to sell a lot of product. And you know what? The JL was pretty cool. We did some cool stuff with it, but yeah, we got beat up, and I knew it. We knew it. We knew when we were saying, "Hey, we're going to do a JL," that they're like, "Oh man, people are going to be complaining about it being a Jeep." But you know what? There's and like you guys are saying, the majority of people don't ever see a comp course,
Right.
and when they walk in and can recognize a vehicle, they love it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why they go for it.
And you guys have had such a
the majority of real Jeeps won't see a comp trail either.
That's true.
And you know the you guys have a good variety of bodies and things like that anymore. You know, well, obviously the SCX3 just came out, so not there. But you know, coming out with the old Ford and then a UMG, the Blazer. You guys were covering bases pretty well. Which
it's pretty fun because yeah, I was gonna say is on RC Crawler I put up a post for fun to see like what body set would you guys like next,
God.
which is I know it's just holy cow. But I did preface it with, hey, I've got 3 licensors right now you can choose from. Give me some ideas for that, and then your dreams. So everybody who says Toyota, I know there's one right there. You think I don't want to make a Toyota truck? I'd love to, but they're hard to get a license. But then it's funny because you have everybody so passionate about
their 1994 Dodge Dakota because my dad has one and
an S10 and this and that. And it's like,
80.
And that's what I try to
Ranger.
Yeah, I try to tell the guys like, you know, I like them too. They think they're cool, but I got to sell a ton of them, and so I need to go tell the people cutting the checks like, yeah, we want to make some oddball car, right. And it's like
we're not going to make the 94 Dodge Ram or the 96 Cavalier. Like neither of those are on the table. Like
exactly. So, but it was pretty fun to see what people came up with and what they'd like to see. But I made sure it was clear. It was for fun. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. I'm curious to see what you guys think is going to sell. And I actually prefaced it too with saying, pretend your job was on the line. Would you recommend this one? And it still had a lot of people that said, for sure, you got to do this one. You'll sell 1 million of them. I know, guys, but it doesn't work that way all the time.
I'm positive that I have 0 1994 Dodge Ram owners still subscribers to my channel after how many times I've used that example of terrible choice.
Oh, man.
They're all just smashing the unsubscribe button. Like, that's it. Son of a...
Oh, man. Or they say just to give that thumbs down.
Yeah.
You know they're going to stick around for that.
I've got a few of those.
I went through that thread. On RCC just to see what some of the choices were, and there's some not bad ideas in there, I have to say. There's a few that I would definitely put my job on the line with being successful, but I'm not going to say which ones they are.
Yeah, I mean, if we weren't talking, Jeep, Gladiator's obviously high on my want list. A proper Gladiator. I know it's hard to do, but with our standard wheelbases, you'd have to do whatever you got to do. But then there's like the classic wheelers that you see, early Broncos, and those are the ones that I like because I like the full size world. And I like what guys build good looking rigs out of, not just what you see on the like. You see a lot of things on the trail, like. Like, I'm not saying because you see it on the trail, I want to see a model of it.
Right.
But
yeah, for me it'd be a flat fender Jeep. I like to do like an old Willys Jeep. And it was kind of cool to see that one that just came out, that pretty detailed one. Yeah. I like that one. It's pretty cool. The body, at
Right.
least, I like the way that looks. It's one I'd like to do. Unfortunately, if I was to get that, it's another Jeep. So we are going to mix it up. We've got some cool stuff in the pipeline that we're going to change up, but eventually I'll get my flat fender Jeep. That's what I wanted. So someday we'll do one.
Yeah. That's there's still a lot of options, of course. Yeah, some people are. This is a question that always gets there's some great suggestions here in the chat. I'll say 76 Trans Am, Pontiac Aztec.
Oh my God, the Pontiac Aztec. That's my buddy Anthony's favorite car. He thinks that is the coolest car in the world. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, that's the.
I mean, they're not cool. You can sleep in it. They have a tent, so
right.
There's that.
They're becoming collectibles.
It's funny is I got to see that prototype in person of the Aztec when were showing it around as a yellow one. I remember it was out here at California Speedway way back in the day. We were there for a GM thing or something, and I was like, "Oh, this thing's pretty cool." Then the production one came out. Oh man, talk about getting things cut and chopped, and that's not going to work in the budget, So, that was pretty bad.
Yeah, that's trying to actually choose the body and move forward. That's always a rough one, I'm sure, and it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
I'm sure you guys focus group those ones for months and months and months before you even land on something that would be an option.
Yeah, and then the next thing too is that once we do that, we have to either, if we're using one of our current partners, we have to go back in and work through the licensing, and that brings our legal team in, their legal team, back and forth. How much are we going to get percentage-wise? Blah blah blah. It's not as easy as everybody makes it, cracked up to be. That's the challenge of working with licensed type vehicles. And then on top of that, depending on who the licensor is, you're dealing with approvals. Some take a week, some take 3 weeks. Some request the actual sample, some request just a 3D view. I mean, it's just all over the place. And then, quite frankly, RC is such a small little category for them of licensing compared to like Hot Wheels or all these other Jada and all these other toy companies, that you're not always a priority on their list. I mean, it's money. They want that money, but that makes it tough sometimes when you're working on tight schedules to make things happen. So sometimes it's kind of hard to go out and get a new body done, and it's not a quick, cool, let's just do it, design it, and it's out the door.
Yeah, right. It's not like you just call them up and go, excuse me,
right,
Jeep, can we do a JL? And they just go, yeah, sure. And then you hang up the phone. There's a lot more to it than that.
Oh, yeah. I would say from start to finish on negotiating an addition to a contract would probably be as little as 3 months, sometimes 6 months. Just depends on how busy they are and what they got going on and getting the legal terms correct.
So
I'm sure if you called right now, they'd be more than happy to talk to you. Probably not a lot going on anywhere.
So I think
sure
we had a good question here, though. I think that could really set the tone for the rest of the conversation. And that is, Rich, your personal opinion on leaf springs.
Okay.
Specifically in something similar to or along the lines of an SCX-10, 3, 2, whatever.
Man. Okay, so when I was at RC Four-Wheel Drive, I will say I did like driving a leaf spring rig. I enjoyed it, the technical part of it.
The inability to do technical things, is that what you mean? Oh, okay.
Right. There was some of that stuff. It was challenging because, quite frankly, you get these 4-linked rigs and they can crawl over anything pretty easy. So on that part of it, I liked it just from a challenge. But then I've also been driving these things for 32 years, my whole life of RC, or 30, whatever many years it is, 38 years. But I think the challenge is it's still kind of nichey. So if you were to do an SCX-10.3 with leaf springs, yes, the 10% of hardcore scalers would love it, but then the other 90% would just sit on the shelves.
I like how you gave a 10% market share to that. Like that's brave.
Yeah, I mean, that's just like this. I mean, I know I might get beat up for that, but I like leaf springs. I had fun. I really liked them, and it was a challenge running leaf springs. And I'll tell you something too. We were working on the Ascender 2.0 before we acquired Axial. And we had it set up with leaf springs and 4-link. Yeah, but it was already
What?
in. Yeah. Well, those options you could do. You could. It was all built off one. You could choose leaf spring, or you could go linked on it.
The reason that makes me chuckle so much is just because of how many like die-hard Viterra fans and now Leaf Spring fans, like their hopes and their inner it just exploded and died inside. Like,
I know. I'm so sorry, people, but we did have it. Like the bad part was it was when I came back and it had been designed by an outside source. It was bad. It was bad. And then Matt and the guys from Axo came on board and we're like, here, take a look at this. They're like, ooh, geez. So we experimented with possibly making it happen, but the thing is, you can't. It's not easy to make two work in one. Trying to do a leaf spring rig on a linked rig is really tough. Just with the points where the leaf springs have to be and all that type of stuff. So
yeah,
it's tough.
No,
it's tough.
That's
It's a challenge.
Yeah. But to answer your question, I do like leaf springs, but it's a tough sell.
Yeah, no, that's
a tough sell.
That's along the lines of what I was wondering.
When's the VS14 leaf spring coming out?
I can't see it because you guys can't see it right now, but I've got my TF2 on the bench, and I'm flexing it out on a 1-2-3 block right okay.
Which way is the 1-2-3 block sitting? Is it on the
height?
Oh, okay.
No, it's on height, not on the width.
I actually,
this is a good performing truck. Well engineered.
I had like I said, I actually worked a little bit on the Marlin project with RC 4-wheel drive back then, and the Forerunner body and some of that stuff, and I love playing with my leaf spring rig. It's just they're really focused at the scale guys, and the scale market, and that's their niche that they own, and so it works really well for them, and that's where people can go if they want their leaf springs. It's just harder on my side when I'm trying to sell. Not that I'm saying our sport doesn't sell big quantities, but just the way our distribution works, it would be tough to really push a leaf spring vehicle right now. Maybe something we could do in the future. We could look at it. I'm never going to say no, but it's just tough when you have a lot of dealers that aren't trained.
A lot cooler if you did.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, said no.
It'd
be a lot cooler if you said no.
It's funny that a lot of these dealers, though, they're just not trained in this type of stuff either, and they need to be able to do a simple sale. And when it comes in, if it can rock crawl, and they don't have to give an excuse like, well, it's not going to flex that much. They don't want to tell consumers that. Right. And so that's where my challenge comes into. I'd love to do a leaf spring rig, but a 4-link's going to sell better. So
agreed.
But I'm not saying we're not going to do it. But I can tell you we're not doing it right away. I can tell you that. But maybe someday we can make it.
So what you're saying, though, is that there is a chance.
You're saying there's a chance.
Yep. Excuse me. Next subject.
Right.
I'm having. Let's get off of this topic altogether.
Matt.
I'm having a lot of streaming issues. I'm getting a lot of saying that.
Yes, your stream is
not good
your
quality.
stream technology is about as advanced as your leaf spring preference. So it's.
So what I might is it something where I end this stream and then start another one if I reset my modem? Is that something that
I think that you can get back into your stream, but I can't tell you that for sure, Matt.
Hey. Let's see if it happens. I'll reboot. You guys can talk about whatever, and on our channel, I'll try to.
At least you can come back into my.
Give me a second here, guys.
So. But.
Exactly. All right. If it ends, it's been a lot of fun. I'll see you guys in a minute.
Okay.
So coming on to Axial now, and obviously you have so many of their other projects and things like that are been going on, and you guys have then also refreshed, like the SMT10. That's a market that I've never been huge into myself, but I don't know. Have you jumped into that at all? That's just been a peripheral project that you didn't have to necessarily dive into?
Yeah, I didn't have to do anything with that one. Chris Higa is he does our fifth scale stuff.
Chris.
So they kind of asked him to jump into the monster truck side of it. And it was one of those things where we were able to reconnect with Feld Entertainment, and there was a decent demand of people asking for that thing. And we didn't want to just repackage it again the way it was. So we did do some changes. But it's doing pretty well. I mean, I was surprised too that, we had all the people asking for a kit. Make a kit. We got to make a kit. And I'm thinking, who's going to buy a monster truck kit? I really didn't think it was going to sell that well. It's actually been surprisingly solid. So yeah, I didn't have to mess around with that.
And that's good. When you guys take the effort to put it back into production, and it actually pays off. That's it's hard.
Well, I'll crush some people too with another one. The Yeti is not coming back. Okay,
yeah,
sorry, guys.
that
the Yeti is not
that
coming
doesn't
back.
surprise me. Being that the Baja Ray Rock Ray platform is newer and already in production in low C, factories.
Yeah, it's kind of a combination of not only is it the fact that we have the Rock Ray already, and the Yeti was a cool rig in itself, but it's also a manufacturing issue as well.
Right.
So that's one of the other issues why it can't come back, and even if we decided to bring it back, we'd probably have to retool it, and that means new design stuff to fix a lot of the issues that it had, and go from there. It would, even if I said, yeah, we're doing it, it would be 2 years from now before you'd actually see it.
By the time you got through the design and redid everything, and that.
Right, got it tooled, moved,
and
tested.
At that point, why not just make it the new platform, or a new, a Yeti 2.0, or just to call it something completely new, and it's just the new truck that you have at the time. So that.
Right. Yeah. So it's funny too, because some of this stuff I'm not familiar with. Like, I keep finding stuff all the time from Axial that I didn't know about, because I did watch a lot of the 10 scale stuff or the scale stuff, because I had to make vehicles to try and compete with from Viterra and or low C if we were doing stuff. So I mainly focus on a lot of the big stuff, but it's cool to see what they did on the small side of things, like all the little detail things. So that's a lot of stuff I missed that we're going to focus back on, trying to bring back some more, like the light bars and other miscellaneous things.
Yeah, absolutely.
That type of stuff. So I'm still learning. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that I've missed that I wasn't aware of. Luckily, Randall's there, and Randall, although he wasn't big on the development side at the beginning per se with Axial, he was involved somewhat and did a lot of background stuff. He knows about all these other little things that they make. So that's kind of helping all of us to make that transition.
And I think that having somebody like Randall, who's got the full size experience, is such a benefit. I know Randall's been a spotter in WeRock since way before I knew who he was, or I don't even know if he was at Axial yet at the time. I had watched him back in WeRock back in the Cody Wagner competing in WeRock way back. So and that's being able to see Jeeps and see what would be a cool detail or things like that, to maybe get in before the design is done and push for is nice. So
yeah, and it's cool that we're able to see that now too with the now that he's a product developer on the Axial side, he's able to put in a lot of those details. So it's been fun working with him. He and I bouncing off each other. Mainly it's Randall and I right now on the SEX10 and Axial, the scale side. Like I said, Chris Higa's doing the monster truck side. So he and I have been having a lot of fun going back and forth, and it's cool too, because he and I do have different paths of things that we like and we don't like. Like, sometimes he'll be super hardcore about a certain detail, while my side of my experience with product development over 10, 12 years, like, hey, Randall, I don't think they're going to notice that little one. Maybe we could do this. But then there's times that he's like, hey, we really need this detail. So it's been a fun balance to learn, working with him and all the details. He knows all this stuff. Right. I know from my history of working it together. It's pretty fun.
If we see a new SCX3 RTR come with flames on it, we'll know what happened. That's
yeah, you'll know who won that. You'll know who won that one. Yeah. I wouldn't even do that to you guys, so don't worry about it. There won't be any RTRs with flames. I've already got few box tops, but that would drive Randall nuts. So
Yeah, it's it'll be interesting to continue to see how things are developed. Seeing something like a portal axle version come out on the SCX3 first with a Jeep, it's like that's something that Randall as a full size guy, I could imagine probably wasn't
oh
his preference, but we
yeah,
just the market is what it is,
and again, that would have been my first explanation I would have had to give into the sales staff and the dealers. Well, why doesn't it have portals?
right.
They don't know the difference. They
Right.
don't know why. They don't get it. They just know that, well, the TRX4 has portals. That one
Right.
sells
Why
pretty good.
doesn't it have a 2-speed?
Right.
Yeah, and and that's why, like, we have the 2-speed on there. It's only 40% quicker. It's not really fast, and I agree with you, Josh. And actually, Matt, I think we're all on the same page. We don't need the 2-speed.
Yeah.
It's
I
not a
get
big thing.
it's a feature
But
list, and it's
yeah, and that's what it had to have out there.
You're ticking on all the boxes.
Yeah, it needed to have that box ticked, and it works, and you can use it if you want to. But from where I come from, I didn't really need it, but we needed to do
Right.
it. So that's some of the things those decisions you have to make when people are like, why do they do this, and they should have just done this, and blah 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 blah. There's people, we think about this stuff, and we spend a lot of time going back and forth and trying to balance out the hardcore guys to the middle guys to the people who are beginners, and trying, okay, well, what's it going to take and what do we do? So that's the challenge. And on the Vanquish side, it's kind of similar, but you guys have a slightly different thing because you're up on a higher level with materials and metal axles.
It's a very different game. It's hard to the same decisions have to be made, but in a completely different way.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, we all want to sell as many vehicles as we can, but you do have a little bit of room to play on the material side, techie side, price point side. You guys can get away with some of that stuff because it's there's different levels of it.
The question here, it's like, I mean, I think we know the answer, but it'd be interesting to just hear the explanation coming from you, Rich. Is it says, do RTR sell better than kits?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, they just do.
And I don't know, like,
that's not really a shocker.
No,
for anybody.
I don't think. I think that's just, it's a pretty obvious one that it's kind of the nature of consumers at this point. And honestly, myself, I a lot of times prefer an RTR. Like, but for me, it's a time thing. Like, if I get a new vehicle here, I want to be able to just be like, okay, here it is. Here's what we're gonna start working on. I'm gonna start doing this and this and this. But at least it's together. Like, shit.
It's funny, and I didn't think you'd want one of those pre-built SCX 10.3s, so that's why we arranged to send you a kit that you had to build. But you probably would have enjoyed that pre-built one. I don't know.
I would have both
It'd
sides.
be done by
It would have
now.
been done by now. But at the same time, I do get, like, it is nice to see the first one and get build. I don't think I would have ever been able to see a lot of the. I would have had to do twice the work because I would have torn it completely apart and then had to bring it all back together. But
and that's one of the things too that I wanted to bring up for some of the people that are watching is I can't believe how much time you two guys spend on this stuff. It blows my mind. I mean, it's my hobby too, but it's also my full-time job. So at the end of the day, I like to take a break and shut it down and go do something else. But yeah, dude, it blows my mind how much you and Matt work on stuff. It's just crazy. And I see it. It's what's cool is that it inspires me. I do want to build stuff, and then I come out after I've just been doing it for 9-10 hours for the day. I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing anything. I'm gonna make mine like a RTR and go run it. That's it.
Yeah, I've been full time in this now since 2016. So,
right.
4 years and change, whatever. But I've worked in the business, like design wise since like 2009 to 2007, like back in the early days of, because for like TCS, the crawler store back in the day, like comp crawler stuff. One of the early popular flat rail chassis I designed.
Was that you? What was it
X-Trail.
called? Okay.
Yeah,
No kidding.
to convert an AX10 into a scale truck, and it sold just thousands of those things.
That's crazy. But that's why I say it blows my mind that I know you do this full time and then still keep doing this. I mean, you have your channel, so you have your stuff to do
Right.
with that. But man, I don't know how you guys. But I've also been doing this since I was 12 years old. That's all I've ever done. My hobby turned into my career, and that's all it's been has been RC stuff. So I'm 50 now. So I get a little burned out and just kind of like, oh, I'm gonna go. That's why I bought that stupid Grom, and I have this pickup truck, and I just do other types of things because I just don't want to mess with my RC cars after hours.
You still mountain biking quite a bit too?
It's good to have It's good to have a hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, some would argue if I have been riding, but yes, I do ride my bike once in a while. Just not a lot lately. And this freaking working from home stuff is not helping, dude. It's 4 Eggo waffles in the morning with syrup and butter and oh man, and just cookies. And dude, I'm gonna put on another 15 pounds here before this is over.
Oh man,
it's gonna be bad. It's bad.
Wow.
And I know you've been on your diet.
Listen,
so
you've
been good,
guys.
Although I had pizza for lunch today, and
I've lost 10 pounds since I started working.
Jeez. Yeah, Matt's
I am gonna say though, mostly. I am gonna say that this stream on my end is performing really poorly. I think I'm just annoying people more than anything. So I'm gonna cap it off on my side, but I'm gonna continue to chat with you guys. So at least Josh will have a feed.
Okay.
So at least everyone can go over there.
Another really good question. This one is a questionable if you'll be able to answer, Rich, just because of obvious reasons. But STX 10.3 RTR, obviously, sometime down the road it'll come. But all the bells and whistles, like you guys did with the Capra, you gonna?
I can't obviously give the details. Right. All I can say is that there will be an RTR because that's obvious. Right. It's going to happen.
I was really surprised with the Capra that it came with the dig and all that ready to go in the box. Like, you guys did the full kit, basically, just RTR version. That was cool to see.
Yeah, it's pretty likely that you might see quite a bit of the features from the kit, only because, believe it or not, it actually kind of works for us with the manufacturer. Yeah. It just makes it a little bit easier to produce them. We have some. You guys have been hinting at some cool stuff that we've done. Like you talked about that Firma speed controller. That thing is pretty cool. Some other hints like that. It's bound to go that direction. I can't give any details, hardcore details about it.
Totally understand that, and knew that would be the route. It is cool to see that with previous examples like the Capra, you guys have offered a full option. That's so many times the case is RTR stripped down kit has these extra but it's a change to see that wasn't necessarily the case in the previous release that you guys had.
Yeah. I mean, and if we do that, the price point does have to go up because obviously you're putting a lot nicer materials in a vehicle like that. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what we'll do here for this RTR. But then at the same time too, eventually we're going to have to come up with, we're going to let the SX10-2, like the Honcho and Deadbolt, run along the line of the SX10-3 for a while because of the price point. Yeah. But at some point we're going to have to come up with a version,
the low cost version of the SX3,
a low cost, right? Which is going to be a challenge because now you're tooling up a lot of stuff and a lot of changes. So it's going to be a bit of a challenge.
There's so much extra on this SCX10-3 that is. Well, non-essential seems to be such a good word currently, but just all of the other things that are added to this to make it look and be like it is that you could technically, start removing without affecting the performance or functionality of it to get that cost down. But it's a cool platform.
It definitely is a cool platform. I'm happy with the way it turned out.
Absolutely. The pre-cut body, huge fan.
Yes. that was one of the things that I was excited about because I knew since we were using a different vendor and I had been building previous axial rigs, I was like, oh, I'm so happy we're going to have punched bodies and they're going to be pre-cut and all that stuff. And dude, the first few samples that I did for the box art vehicles, I had to hand cut those
Ooh.
grills. Oh
I'm just looking
man,
at the grill and how thin those lines are between the slots, and ooh.
dude, it was
Yikes.
so hard. It was such a pain, and so that's why it was for sure we have to do that. So unfortunately, some people are going to get spoiled by it, not realize what we did back in our days where we had to cut the
Yeah.
grills,
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
But that was one of the features that I was happy that we were going to be able to bring is pre-cut bodies, which worked out pretty good.
Absolutely.
It just cuts so much time out of the build. It's really good.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't really take me any longer, pre-cut versus uncut, but you know, I get it's about the same amount of time to box it and send it. So
Right. Yeah, that was like I think I had it the first 5 bodies that I got. I had to hand cut each one of those grills, and that was not fun. That was torture.
Awful.
yeah, let's see. The how many other good quick? Yeah, the SCX 10.3 Sport. All of the options.
Oh,
So
right.
and then naming options. Oh, that's going to be so good.
Man.
Let's we got some little stuff here. Need to make a builder's kit. God, that was another one from last year. The raw builder's kit.
Raw builder's kit, right?
You know, it's just all of these things are things that have been, you know, suggested by so many people. Yeah, you should make this and that, and you know, some of it is just like, well, who knows if the numbers would be there? But then, actually released,
yeah, that builder kit was surprisingly really good. I mean, what is a killer price point too?
Right.
I mean, what is it, $199? So I mean, all those guys that like to put a chassis underneath their custom body that they want to build, man, that was a sweet spot right there. I think we would do, and I'll answer the question right off the bat because I've had people asking. No, we're not doing a builder's kit this year.
Right.
Maybe if we, depending, it'll probably be late 20 if we were going to do one. It's still not in the plans right now, only because, again, price point would be a big challenge. This kit's pretty expensive.
Yeah.
If you know,
a lot more.
Okay. We take the body off. Yeah, we take the body off. We take the tires off, and we take the wheels out. Okay. Well, now you want all the different links that you need to make 3 different wheelbases. You know, so you're adding cost back in there. That may or may not be something people need. And then it's just tough to bring that price to a sweet spot like we were with the SCX 10.2. Right. So for now, there won't be a builder's kit. We're just going to keep selling the kit that we have now. Builder's kit's not going anywhere either. Because again, it's such a sweet spot.
Yeah.
We're just going to leave it there and see how it does. I mean, there's some people that want to do it and use them still.
The SCX 10.2 is still, so, I mean, sure. While it doesn't have portals, you know, the axle technology itself isn't vastly different. You know, same hypoid or, you know,
right.
Ring and pinion set. And, you know, other than I obviously prefer an offset axle versus like you guys have on the SCX 10.3 versus the centered on the SCX 10.2. The SCX 10.2 is just still a great platform, and with unlimited aftermarket options.
Right. It's going to be that way for a while. You know, I think it's got solid legs for a while, but eventually at some point it is going to go away. You know, just because people will be making so many things for this rig, and all the accessories they're going to come up with that. Eventually that's where it's going to go, but for now I think it's got a path for a while to stick around.
And I think that, you know, the market now is so much different than 3 years ago, 4 years ago, you know, that there's so many options that are out now that I do think that the shelf life of some of the older products is a lot shorter than it used to be. You know, for example, you know, like the amount of SCX 10 or, you know, AX10, SCX 10 original, the amount of options that you saw still available over the years, you know, after the SCX 10.2 was released were vast. But now it's like this market is popular and everybody's in it and there's so many options. It's like, well, old options are going to just get pushed aside and die a lot faster than than before. I think that the Axial will buck the trend a little bit just because of the sheer volume of vehicles out there. But
yeah. And one of the things too is Traxxas has brought in a lot of new people that weren't even considering scaling. To be honest, they didn't know who Axial was, and some of these other brands, and but they know a Traxxas because Traxxas has done a remarkable job of marketing their stuff, so people know that word. It's funny how back in the day it used to be, is that an RC10 or is that an RC car? Now it doesn't matter where I go. Traxxas has done such a great job with their marketing that I say, "Oh, is that a Traxxas?"
right.
That's automatically what they say. So these people come in, and when they came out with their TRX4, they automatically ask for the Traxxas, and they recognize it. They have no idea about all the other stuff that's out there, and they picked up that rig. So, it did help our market for sure. Especially, they nailed it right at the right time with Axial having their issues with Hobbyco and being out of product, and they came in and swooped in and have a pretty good marketing people out there that they got them all out there. So it's going to be fun to see how people take to the SAX-10 III and how the accessories come along and what that does. It's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, and it's
Well, you're already seeing an explosion. There's already stuff coming out that might not. It's like very quick to market to see some of these aftermarket companies already putting stuff out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Let me address one thing, as a matter of fact, while I'll do it. The valve cover on the Servo.
Yes.
Okay. So there are certain servos that we use within our company. And with the Jeep body and the hood and the location of that motor cover, we could not put the other valve cover on there without having a problem impacting the whole body design. The body was done. The body was all designed up. The chassis was done up. And then we're like, oh, we got to put that motor cover on it. And it's like, oh, crap. There's no room to put the entire engine cover on there. So that's why it doesn't have that other valve cover. And I see people 3D printing them because some people have shorter servos. They have other stuff. They're able to 3D print, stick them on there. But imagine trying to tool that up and make it super thin and hope that it's going to stay on there. Yes, I know. Trust me, we didn't do it on purpose. We didn't do it because, let's watch this. Let's make a 4-cylinder because I'm into Hondas. That's not what we did. It was just a thing. It just wouldn't fit underneath the Jeep body. So that may change
in the scale
future.
news. I had included somebody who made a one that you can download for $1 and 3D print yourself, which is great. Right. And this week I made all of my captions about the news about Tiger King. And I made a reference to that missing valve cover being like the chick with one arm. Saf was her name. And so I think only one person caught it.
I haven't. I haven't finished that series yet. I've only watched like 1 or 2 episodes.
All right, well, we'll pause this for a couple hours, and then you're going
to... I know, I got to finish it up. I got enough time to do that. But like I said, this whole thing is tough because I'm in my living room. I set up a little bench for my computers from work, and I'm in my living room doing my work. And then when I try to finish up for the day, it's like, all right, there's my TV. It's like, do I really want to sit in the same room and watch TV now? So this is just so weird right now dealing with this type of stuff. But yeah, I literally brought my entire desk from work, our computers, and we were way ahead of the ball. I think I've been home almost a month now.
Oh, wow.
Horizon right off the bat was like, if you can work from home, work from home. Do not come in. This was way before they were really concerned about closing everything up or things like that. And so I've been home for a while, and I'm losing my mind, man. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Same here. We've been off now for a month as well. As of tomorrow will be a month since I've been in the office, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
To think, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, it's a hard situation to really just even have imagined 2 days before it really got, like, what are we doing? Like, especially when it seemed like it was, it's so hard for me being this Midwest guy at heart, and all of the California, everything here seems like
drama
everything
queens.
Here seems like an overreaction. Right. So I never know like
Right.
what like do I react to, is this a California thing? Is this a real
Right.
thing? Like I
Right. Storm watch 2019. We're gonna get a quarter inch
I
of
know.
rain.
I'm
You
just
know,
like,
the roads are gonna get slick and we're crashing and wrecking.
so I have such a hard
It's just a
time. And then they're
nightmare.
like,
Right.
no, everyone's going to stay at home. I'm like, are my barometer's all messed up. I just don't, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, it's been crazy. I know one person that has a relative that passed away from it, so we have that one, and then there's another person I know that their father is dealing with it as well. So it's like it's crazy. It's starting now. You're starting to get the effect of it and actually see it. Like, holy cow, this is for real. You know, it's been until you actually deal with it. At first, it was like, all right, I'll wear a mask and I'll go in the store and I'll look weird. And now it's like, oh crap, like there's a guy not too far from us. Like I said, a friend of a friend's that did pass away. He was 28 years old or something like that from this COVID thing. So it's scary. I mean, I've been waiting to see, well, is it going to spike? Is it going to peak? What's going to happen? But yeah, it's close to home. So I don't mess around. And my wife has asthma too. So we don't mess around.
Yeah.
I mean, we are full masked out and I don't care what people think, you know, when I walk in. But now our county has made it mandatory that you have to wear a mask if you even walk out of your house.
Yeah.
So you got a mask on. And I guess, there was some confusion. They actually had said that even if you were in your car with more than one person, you had to wear a mask. They've rescinded that, but yeah, it's just crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's, you know, when that all started, you know, about a month ago, like you're saying, Rich, here in California, at least, you know, it's just like it was kind of hard, and then it pretty quickly became a reality, and we all had to start, adopt, you know.
Yeah.
And I have a friend of a friend as well who had it, and then that person had to self quarantine as well. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah. You know what's funny is, for some reason, the old people don't get it. And I don't want to go ranting on about this whole COVID thing, but I got to tell you the story about my parents. It's like they're 5 years old. The second that we leave the house, boom, they bone out. They're going to Sam's Club. They're going to this and that. And finally, this last week or the week before, they finally have taken it very serious. But I've been talking to my other friends with their parents. I'm like, dude, it's the same thing. I don't know why they're not getting it. Like, they don't believe it. But at least now they're going on. So it's been fun talking to my parents. My mom gets mad at me, chews out my sister. Well, she doesn't get mad at me. She chews out my sister for ratting them out, you know. So thanks for telling your brother, because I chew him out for going out of the house. But it's been pretty funny on that side of it. So, but we can change that topic. We're all dealing with that. So let's.
It's hard not to talk about the things
exactly.
that are affecting us all so much. But yeah, I think we all have.
True.
I mean, Matt and I have been live streaming about 40% of our lives right now, just to have the nice distraction. It seems like, which is, for me at least, worked.
And it's good. It's a nice distraction. I mean, absolutely. It definitely gives me something to do.
And I'm not gonna lie, I'm in here.
I don't have a lot of
I'm
work.
in here anyway, so I can turn the camera on.
I've even watched for like. Yeah, I've even watched for like 5
exactly,
minutes.
right?
It's been. Yeah.
So.
No, I enjoy. I enjoy
about
coming in and watching.
He actually watches for me.
Yeah, and you know, we've been fine, and then of course I've had my wife helping as well, which has been great. So
Same with me.
She'll come in here and read comments while I work on something, which is much better. I can actually do something while I'm in here, and we have quality time together then. Because that counts.
Yeah.
I wouldn't count that as quality time.
Maybe.
We're close together and we're talking together.
Like,
so
when
that
else
counts.
do we sit here and chat for 4 hours straight? Like,
right.
This is
about the thing that you love
bonding.
too.
Right. Oh man.
Let's see. Let's see. What else do we have here? I mean, while this is still kind of briefly connected to it, I think that, you know, we're kind of all looking at how this will affect everything long term, but thinking of it in our business, at least, like, it feels like it hasn't been I don't want to say this. I don't want to say this in an insensitive way, but it hasn't been like a bad thing for sales in our business because people
Right.
they're at home and they're looking for out. They're looking outside for hobbies. Maybe it was a hobby they used to be interested in, or or reconnecting with it, or it's just something that they've seen and are deciding to get into it. So
Yeah, I'm seeing kind of the same thing. In fact, it's funny. I've had so many people out of the woodwork reach out to me like, "Hey, I was thinking about getting an RC car. I've got so much time now. I was thinking about doing it." I mean, it's blown me away how many people have done it. The interesting part is in 2000, or maybe it's interesting to some people, in 2008 when we had our economy bust a little bit, we actually still were pretty solid in the RC
right,
stuff. And I think that's just because people can't go out and buy their razors and all that stuff, but they want something to do as a hobby. And so luckily for us, airplanes, helicopters, trains, RC cars, that price point kind of fits into, well, I can justify spending a little bit, customizing and having some fun. So I think right now, we're kind of seeing the same thing. We've had an influx of people. We got lucky in a bad way. I hate
I
to use
agree.
that
I
term,
don't
but
want to mean it in an
you know,
insensitive way, but
right.
it does seem to
Yeah, I'm
be.
not
No,
trying to
it's
be
not
obsessive, but
insensitive.
Yeah,
the SX103 people are buying them and having fun to build these things because they're all at home right now. So I think what we're really going to see is probably in the next 2 months or the next month and a half or so, how much of effect we're going to have in this industry at that point. I think right now people are just all right. Let's ride this out and
hmm
let's have some fun and keep ourselves busy.
right. Well, and we'll
It's
either
going to be
see.
interesting with the next couple
I
months.
think we'll see some of the, in like you're saying, the next couple 3 4 months, and as time goes, we'll see that there will be some people that will have substantial financial possible
Right.
hardships, and those people will obviously have to stop any spending that may have been in this area, discretionary. But there's also going to be the people that are still safe either with the amount of work that they have, the amount of savings that they have, the
Right.
whatever it is, and maybe they will have rekindled their love for the hobby and will continue. So it'll be interesting to see how that balance of things comes out and how things grow. The summer is
Yeah.
traditionally a very slow time for our industry, which is the
Right. Which
opposite of what
most
most
people
people
don't
would think.
realize that. Yeah. They
Like if you're
all
not in
think it's summer's like,
yeah, they're like,
yeah.
what are you talking about? The summer's like, no, summer is very slow for RC. Like
Yeah.
that's the slowest time for sales, the
Very
slowest
slow.
time for
People
everything.
are all out
Yeah,
driving. They're not
it's
building.
just
Yeah. Back in my early days of racing, Easter Sunday was like our Black Sunday because literally our race entries and sales would drop in half the next week after that because spring break would start and then people would start ramping up to go outdoors and camping for summer and this and that. And it was so crazy that, yeah, literally you could almost count on it. Whenever Easter hit, start backing up the orders. It's going to be slow. And I ran the shop for 3 years, 3 years in a row. It exactly the same date happened. Easter Sunday, boom, just went down in half. It was crazy.
it's so backwards to what so many people would
Yeah,
think.
Yeah, what you
But
would think.
it's
yeah,
an interesting thing, especially
But
coming
every
into it. Like
every
for me, it's not. I didn't understand it at all. You know.
yeah,
every fall, as soon as fall starts around here, it's build season,
Oh yeah.
and everyone's building. Like the entire winter, I'm down here in the workshop every night, and I'm building something. I'm ordering something online. Like there's always something to be built or get ready for the next season. That that build season for me lasts so long because we have snow for like I don't know 6 months of the year it seems.
Yeah.
So it's always nice to actually have that kind of downtime from being outside.
yeah. And this is the what's been interesting for me is this type of experience because again, I've never had a winter. We have our rainy season, whatever you want to call it, but
Rainy.
for the most part, it's 70
Yeah.
degrees, right? 80 degrees. And it's like, let's go ride bikes and, oh, it's going to rain tomorrow. Oh, great. Okay. And then the next day it's 80 again, whatever. We're fine. But this is the first time where I've actually, because of the situation, I've had to stay home. Again, it's just, I don't know how you guys do it with all the snow and you're sitting at home and man, it's just crazy. I don't know how you
Yeah.
guys do it.
I think that there's a
Yeah,
comment here that I think
it's
is probably what is more of the effect that we'll see, and that is what is this type of a what is this effect going to have on like brick and mortar stores, which is not a lucrative business in a lot of situations. Brick and mortar hobby shops, you know, it is a passion business for a lot of those guys. You know, they are not, the most of them are not getting crazy rich running a hobby store, you know,
Right.
and especially in the days
Right.
of Amazon and those type of, you know, so
Yeah.
I hope that they're able, you know, SBA loans or whatever it is. I hope that they're able to get through it, do what they have to do. A lot of hobby shop owners are hustlers, so that, you know, hopefully they're figuring out a way to get things done. But that,
Yeah, and I guess this is when you could say too, like, hey, if you guys are out there, go try and support them. I'm sure you can call your dealer and you can get online with them or email them or whatever, and they'll let you come by and pick up something, because any bit you can do to help them out is just going to help them survive through this problem. I mean, it's, you know, I have a friend that's running a restaurant. He's in the same boat. I mean, he went from just was killing it to where he's had to close Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays because they're just not getting the traffic they were. So if you've got a dealer or a hobby shop near you and you guys are, I know it's easy to go click, ship and pay and it's done. But if you guys can get out there and support your dealers, try and help as much as you can. I mean, they're willing to work with you because they want to stick into this. And like Josh said, I keep wanting to say Harley because I keep looking at RC Foil Drive. Like Josh said, is it's going to be a tough time. These guys don't make a ton of money. They do it as a passion, and so help them out if you can.
yeah, it's, you know, this market is always
most
changing.
most of them are offering like a door pickup where you just drive right up and they'll just toss the thing, whatever you've purchased, in the back seat or in the trunk of your car, and they'll even have a pay terminal. You can just pay right there and off you go. So you know, this is actually, in a lot of opportunities, this is probably even better for those local stores because they'll actually see an uptick in people taking advantage of this opportunity. Sometimes it's not easy to get something shipped to your house. I don't know how it's like with you guys, but you know, it sometimes requires signature. They require you to go pick it up somewhere else, and that can be a real pain, especially with things the way they are. If you can take advantage of those local stores, it's a great time to do it.
That the shipping times right now can be longer on a lot of things. So, you know, if you can get it from your local hobby shop, especially now, you can really curb that that gotta have it now feeling more than anywhere. But
exactly,
for sure. Help them out, guys.
Yeah, I've got multiple things I'm pretty sure I need to get. Although I think I'm gonna have to order another shelf first. I'm about out of room.
I need another house. That's what I need.
You know, I'm not sure how it happened, but so my studio room here it's not very big. It's like 10 by 13. So Matt and I don't have terribly different sized areas, but I do think I have a little bit more. But joking with Nicole, she was like, "You should just move all of that into the master bedroom. We'll just make that the bedroom, and then you can have, you know, So that's it,
right? Yeah. Believe it or not, I probably have as many cars as you guys have, but mine are all put in the attic and put away because I always try to keep the number 1 or 2 car, or I keep my prototypes. So after 13 years of developing cars, I got a ton of cars. I've got number ones, number twos, or the test vehicles, but I've got them. The problem is I'm just trouble stashing these things. I don't know where I'm going to put them. I got a bunch in my attic and stuff, so I don't have any place cool like you guys have to put them all up there.
I don't have very many cars. I say that the wrong way. Like I have I have a decent number of cars, but like once you stop seeing them in and around, like they're gone. Like I don't keep cars. Just next, they go on to a new home.
That was like I posted up in my Instagram last week.
These are.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Oh, look at that.
These are the prototype skids off of the SCX 10.3. One signed by Rich, and the other one signed by Matt Kearney. So pretty cool to have those.
That is cool.
I haven't shown those before, I don't think, and I'm gonna get these put box and mounted right up back there somewhere.
Nice, next to the valve.
It'll look good, I think. Yeah. Yes.
Rich, have you?
Actually, it's
Yeah.
good to remind. I'll turn that valve down.
Oh, yeah, it's cool.
There we go.
The have you? This completely most unrelated question ever. But have you played at all with any of the drag car stuff yet? With all of the buggies and stuff like that you've played with at this point?
I have not, but I want one so bad. I think they look like so much fun because I used to drag race back in the, I used to street race and all that stuff back in the day, and I love hitting a tree on a chiming the tree right, that type of stuff. So I love it. I think they're really cool. I just, again, that's not my thing to come home and start wrenching on building a drag car and putting cars together because I got other things I kind of want to do. So maybe we'll do one and then I can start doing one at work and say, oh, I'm going to do some testing. But Axial stuff is keeping me so busy that I just, I don't mess up. But I love them. I want one. They're super cool.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
for sure.
That's, it's just, I get, when you don't have you get home and you don't want to just start working on another one. But it is cool that segment is coming along. I'm looking forward to doing more on mine. And just this year has turned into so much other things going on that I can't believe how time has flown since I've touched mine last. But that's.
What about you, Matt? You gonna get a drag car? Do you have one?
I've got one. Yeah, I've already. Mine's built and ready to go. It's it just needs a paint job, which I'm working on. It'll happen eventually. But I used a DB10 I had, and it's got the Nova body on it from Proline there, and it's got a Spectrum Firma C and an old Tekin Redline like 4-turn or something from a million years ago. So yeah, I've got one. It'll be a runner for sure. It'll be a lot of fun. But just waiting on paint.
Yeah, that's I offered to paint it for Matt Rich, but he turned it down. The number of projects never seems to slow down very much. But I know just with all of this, you can put them together with all parts that are available already, and obviously you've probably worked on enough cars that just your projects you could make it. But
it's one of the things that I really wish I could build is I'd love to do what is it? Is it Manitou or Manitou? How do you say his name?
The printed bodies.
Manitou.
Yeah, dude, I want one of those Tacomas so bad, but I haven't bought one because I know it's gonna sit right here and it'll never get built because I'm never gonna sit there and glue it and paint it and build it because I just just like I also would love to learn how to do some of the welding, like the tube stuff. I've always wanted to do that. And that I could probably justify a little more because it's learning a technique of actually welding stuff. Like my little Datsun truck only has airbags and no shocks. I need to get some welded mounts on there. So maybe I could use that as an excuse to learn it. But there's so much stuff. And that's the thing is I love checking out all your builds, Matt's builds, and then all the stuff I see on RC Crawler, Scale Builders Guild, on the Facebook groups, I love seeing all that stuff, and it's like, man, I want to do that so bad, and then, I got other stuff I got to do when I get home, and it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's I use a lot of the excuses of trying to work on something or learn something to apply it to something. Like right now, my current fascination, which hasn't manifested anything on the channel at least yet, is carbon fiber, and I'm obsessed with getting to the point where I can start laying and forming my own carbon fiber and vacuum bagging it to make nice parts. But I'm still in that researching before I spend a buttload of money on tooling and materials and all of the things.
So I guess my question to you then is, do they sell a tight enough weave that would look scale?
Not necessarily.
Or would you end up having to use larger weaves?
It would still be a large weave. And so for that part of it, you're not going to get like that cool factor of it being like the scale accurate weave style, but I want it for so many reasons, and I've always wanted to vacuum, to be able to lay up my own carbon fiber like that. So
it's gonna be cool.
Pretty positive on it.
Guys, I'm gonna have to sign off. My internet it's so bad. I can't even follow the conversation anymore. So
Well, we can.
I got to sign off, but thank you so much. I hope everything's all right on your end, and we'll see you on the next one. It's awful, guys. I can't even deal with it. I'm so
It's all right,
sorry.
Leaf Spring. It's
The leasing talk is when it started going
Yeah.
bad, went downhill right from there.
Yeah, no kidding.
So-
Have a great night, guys. We'll see you again soon. And Rich, thanks so much for this tonight. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, no problem. My pleasure. Maybe we could do it again next time.
Yep.
Yeah. Have a good night, guys.
Bye, Matt.
All right.
So we'll wrap this one up here soon as well, Rich. I'm gonna look at this, but
I did pop you up on my TV there. I saw someone asking if we are doing the UMG with the portals.
I didn't see that one. I missed that one.
I did see that one. Not anytime soon.
Oh yeah,
Just so they're aware.
that will be a cool one though.
Yeah,
especially
it is
with the adjustable frame rails and
yeah.
you know, I liked that UMG option. I think that you guys, and then seeing the 6x6 out of nowhere, that was cool. You know, I haven't grabbed that, but that was. It's just cool to see that, you know, so many more of these just options coming out and just trying new things. It was
Yeah. At some point, just to answer that question, at some point, yeah, we will probably do something like that again because it makes sense to have the. And I know everybody's asking, why did they just put those axles under there? Well, we're working on developing the new platform, and we had that one in the pipeline, and we wanted to come out.
right. You don't want to just take and put the new axles under all of the tooling costs that goes into a new project. You need to capitalize on it with real sales and.
Exactly. So that's the hard part when I do see people saying, why they do it backwards? The UMG has standard axles and the JL comes with portals. Well, it just doesn't work that way, guys. We can't make it all happen perfectly every time, but someday they'll be out there.
That makes sense. And you know, it'll be cool to hear that, you know, even the someday answer, that's more than I would expect anybody to give.
It's on there.
So,
Yeah, it's on. I mean, you should see the list of stuff that we want to do. It's pretty rad. We got a lot of cool stuff out there, a lot of new stuff and existing stuff. I mean, I think for the next, it's going to be fun these next 2 years with the stuff we have in the pipeline coming along. I mean, the Capra and the SX10-3 are just, and actually the SX24.
Oh yeah.
You know, that thing's been really popular.
Well,
Holy
and right
cow,
now
those
it
things
seems
are
like, you know,
popular.
I see a lot of those things, just people grabbing them up and things to do inside. The micro side has never been my favorite, just for me personally. I'm not,
right.
You know, it's driving a 1/10 scale has always been what I enjoyed, and then driving the micro, it didn't give me any sort of the same, you know, driving feel. So,
Right.
But
no, I hear you on that too. But it's funny that because I did the micro crawlers back in the day, we had the micro crawler, the micro trail trekker.
Yep.
You know, I did some of those projects, and that was pretty fun. But this SCX24, I mean, the manufacturer they have nailed it on those little worm gears because
it does feel.
I've never seen a worm gear.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, theoretically, you shouldn't be able to rotate the tire, and I'm not suggesting you should do that, but they're so smooth, you can literally rotate the tire. I mean, they did a really nice job, and that one was in the pipeline before we took over. But then the body design changed because some of the previous bodies they had done, they didn't come out too well. And then ECX came out with a little mini barrage or micro barrage,
And I've got that,
which looked pretty good. So I think that kind of held Axial back then. So when they came on board, they were able to retool up because there was money in the budget. And that's when the Deadbolt came out. And then we did the JL, and now we have the C10. So those things have been doing really well. So like I said, you have that one. We've been doing this for 2 years.
Yep.
You're starting to see the transition of Axial being under the Horizon umbrella. And the next 2 years are going to be a lot of fun. We have some really, really cool stuff
coming. That kind of goes right into one of these comments here. It said, how long does it take to go from concept to production? And like you're saying, like now you're starting to see things that are fully under a Horizon umbrella. Right. But that's 2 years almost, and maybe it doesn't take quite that long sometimes, but by the time you actually decide the project, start the project, all the way through, maybe 2 years might not be outside of the
Yeah, I think on average it's probably, if you don't count the time of like, hey, let's do this, and then we hem and haw and talk about it and decide, well, should we do this one instead, this one, it's anywhere between, like, a ground up is, oh, as you know, a ground up platform is the longest, and usually that would be 12 months, 18 months, depending on how long it takes for the designer to do it. Matt took his time on this one because we knew it was really important with the SCX 10.3. He was also coming into our way we do things, and he had his way of how they did it. So we kind of were working this way towards. We work on a pretty fast pace at Horizon. The Axial guys were able to work on a little bit slower pace because it was kind of their niche thing, and they had their small little independent business almost. So when he came on board, we kind of were in between. So it took a little longer than I'm used to for a design to get done. But traditionally, I would say anywhere between 12 and 14 months, about that. Um, Basically, just so people understand, we go through a process at Horizon where I don't get to just say, dude, I want to do Toyota Tacoma. Cool. I'm going to contact the vendor. Hey, Matt, can you draw this up? It doesn't work that way. I have to present it as a project, present the financials of what I think it's going to do. It goes through a process of gets approvals through our entire corporation. They take a look at everything. Do the numbers make sense? Is it going to feed international? Is it going to feed domestic sales? Rest of the world? How's it going to work? Once we get past that, then we're given the okay to actually start the design, the drawings, get it quoted. Then it goes through another process where once it's quoted, okay, does it still financially make sense to do? Does it make sense? Get the approval. Then tooling starts. Now we get, sometimes parts take anywhere, some are as little as 30 days, some are 90 days to get tooled up. And then you start the testing process. Well, sometimes you don't get all the parts at the same time. So sometimes you'll have a thing sitting there for a month before you finally get enough stuff to build something. Or you'll get the initial shock towers for the SCX 10.3. Yeah, we way underestimated or overestimated what we thought would actually work, and it was probably half the thickness that they are now, because we really didn't want to have two different type thickness shock towers, that type of stuff. But the initial design just wasn't going to work out, so that took time to go back and retool. All these other miscellaneous things were going on. So then you spend 3 months testing, 2 months testing as much as you possibly can. You got to get to a point where you can improve it. Now you got to do photo samples, box art, manuals. The legal team has to look at it. Then it's 90 days for a vendor to make the part or make the vehicle. And then it's got to get on a boat for 3 weeks to come into a warehouse, go through customs. And then that could be another. So it's easy 1 year. So it's funny when I see people like, well, why don't you just make this? Why is it taking so long? What's the big deal? It's just a part. They only make them for 5 cents and they make $50 on them. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way. Everybody's got to get their piece. We got to. And I actually addressed this in one of my posts, was that I got to make it so it financially makes sense for the company, because we're not a charity in a sense. We want to make money. We got to be profitable. The dealers got to have their margin so they can be in business and make some money. And then we have to be able to keep the consumer happy with the price. They got to be able to buy it. So that's the fun part of going through this. And then when you're talking about spending all this money to tool up a vehicle and develop it and all the costs involved, it's a lot of work. And again, Horizon has these things in place to help us be strong financially, which is where we are. It's gotta make sense to do it. You just can't keep winging it, because eventually it's going to catch up with you.
Yeah, and you're never going to trying to truly explain everything to consumers is never going to be possible either. You're never going to make them. You're never going to make them all happy. You're never going to, even if you give them all of the information, they're not going to either read it or care that what you said about it. But
I know. I know. It is.
And even for us, like we do some things, with like our kits, there is some there's a small parallel to like what the experience you're talking about, but at the same time, just the amount of time that I see for us, like when we decide we're going to machine this product, and we're like, okay, we draw it in the office, and then we take it and we give the print to the machinist, which sits in our office, and then he walks out of the room to the machine that I can see from my office. And still, the amount of lead time from deciding to make it till when we're actually selling it it's
Right.
way longer than people would think, because it's not, you're not making 10, you know. You got to make
Right.
this large batch, which people still will say, we don't, you know, don't make enough, or out of stock, whatever. It's like, you got to make enough and get them, photograph them, and if you do any video, if you do any,
Yeah.
and it,
And on top of that too, you can't just squirt them out of a mold.
yeah,
You got to take a hunk of aluminum, and it's got to be machined and run through the process, and all the detail Vanquish puts in these things. Dude, I look at him like, holy crap! How do they make any money, man? That's crazy. There's so much detail involved and time involved in that stuff. So, hey, I laugh. I get to enjoy when you get
Yeah,
beat up
right.
over. Why don't you guys have these wheels in stock? Where's the new Capra axles? I love seeing that stuff because I'm like, welcome to the
yeah,
party,
exactly. All that time giving me hell on the internet 10 years ago.
pal. Yep, exactly. Welcome to the party.
Yeah, that's,
Oh man.
you know, it's so much different for me coming from a day job where I was in before, which was engineering, but way different. If you want to talk about traffic, let's get into it. But no, then, and you know, RC was my hobby only. Well, of course, you know, I did design work a little bit here and there. I did a small amount of design work for Axial back then. I did tires for them, like back, you know, whenever. Yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah,
I didn't know
the
that.
rip saws, like
Oh, okay.
the little bit that I designed for Axial back in the day.
No kidding.
You know, so just, and then worked on like for the crawler store for a long time, and doing, and it was always just this little thing. But I never really had any idea of these full scale and how everything went. And it's, for me, you know, coming into this, it's still work for me, you know. It's because, but it's so much better than going in and dealing with politics and, you know, roadway stuff compared to still working with toys. Like, it's still pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
No, yeah, and that's the thing too, is like when I went out to shoot that video with Randall in Utah for the SX10-3 launch, I still, you know, I do become a little jaded because this is all I've ever done. I have not had any other type of job where I had to deal with any of that type of stuff. So you kind of, this is just what I do. But I was out there in Utah and I'm thinking, holy cow, I'm out here getting to rock crawl my Tacoma to these locations. For 5 days, we're out here shooting video. I'm driving RC cars all day long. Now, the funny part is, prior to that, I'm thrashing to build 4 SCX-10-3s out of whatever parts I could find to hope that they're going to run and not, you know, have any issues when we get out there and shoot, because we're all the way from there and I only have a few parts. But, you know, being able to do that, I was like, man, this is freaking awesome. So I am really grateful to do what I get to do. And I don't want anybody to think that I'm not and that I'm just, whatever, these cars are just stupid or whatever. No, it's nothing like that. I love it. It's my passion and it's still part of my hobby. But because it's so long that I've been doing it, unfortunately, when I get home, I do want to go try and do something else. I do want to go ride my mountain bike. I want to work on my little truck or that type of stuff. But yeah, dude, it's still so lucky to be in this position and to be able to work on this stuff and see all the stuff that these guys want to know that we're making. And I'm like, I already know what we're doing. It's so cool. I still have that giddiness of like, dude, I know what we get.
So for me, it's, you know, and it's probably the same for you. Now, granted, I'm more of a social media, you know, whatever, than I don't know what the word would be best. You know, I'm trying to post on social media pretty regularly, but I'll be going to, like, if I don't have a picture today, like, I'll scroll through my phone. I have 15,000 pictures on my phone. Like, and so I'm gonna scroll, and I have to like think. I'm like, can I post this yet? Like, have we released this yet? Like, no, I can post this.
Right?
This is like, just
yeah.
Like, can I? It's, you know.
Yeah, it's fun because I have a lot of old video from testing. I have all my old pictures of when I get the first prototypes in. I start taking pictures because I got to send notes to the vendors. So I have all that stuff on my phone, and it's kind of fun. One of these days, I'll actually share some of this stuff and post up some of this stuff so people can kind of see a little bit of the process and also, you know what I want to get out of the way?
What's that?
You know, I want to get, and it has nothing to do with you.
No.
We do not do things on purpose to piss you off. We do not make something so you'll break it. We don't do that stuff on purpose. I know you feel the same way. We want to make the best stuff we can. and sometimes things come out and they just, you don't expect someone to put a pound of weight on each front axle and then expect it to survive off of a 10-foot drop or whatever it is, and that type of stuff. So you can go only so far with how much you can reinforce stuff. But people, believe me, when you guys get all ranting and raving on social media, no, we're not out to piss you off and make your life miserable. It's quite the opposite. So let me get that one out of there.
And I'm gonna ruin one of my own favorite games, but I've played this for the longest time before I was full time in the industry, and that is I like to watch your guys' social media, like you and Randall and Matt Carney back in the day, and Brant, like because all of you got like you could like you and Randall were in Utah playing with. I'm like, yeah,
right.
Rich and Randall don't just travel to Utah together. Like they don't do that.
Right.
So I like do that, and I'm like, oh, Rich is traveling overseas. He's like, okay, I know it's good.
Yeah. Right, and you have that insight too because you know how behind the scenes what we got going on in the sense of
work,
how it works,
or had friends in it before I really knew, and I'm like, oh, overseas, huh? Like I know what you're doing. Like, all right, that's it. So I got about like 5-6 weeks before I get to really see. Okay, like.
Right. Yeah, exactly, and that's again that's the fun part I still have in this thing because I do have a passion for it. That it's fun to get us to know what we're working on and what we got coming out, and I can't wait for people to see it eventually.
This question here says, how do you guys keep things such a secret? And I think that is easier now than a lot of people probably think. Like being in it and working with it every day, when it's new, it is, and it's always exciting. But when it's new, it's really exciting. Like new to you, but that's a year before anybody else knows. By the time it's like ready to release, you're like, this is some old stuff. Like this is
I've been done with this SCX-10.3 like 4 months ago. It's like now it's just coming up right. It puts us in a weird situation too. Like people ask like, how do you keep this stuff secret? So I think every company has different ways. I've been brought up in the old school way. When I was with the Losies, dude, we were top secret, like nobody knew anything. When I came to Axial, they were a little bit more, and as you know, because I know you know some of the stuff we have going on in the past, they're a little bit more open to sharing some of this stuff, which again, I think it just depends on the type of company you're in and where you're at that you can do that. But on my end, I'm so old school. Dude, I want everything top secret. I want to keep it because not that anybody can react to it quicker than we can. Once you get, as we know, it takes 12 months to develop something. It's not like if I told you even 3 months before, Vanquish could ramp up that fast and get something done to beat us to the punch.
No.
And you could if you wanted to. You could stop everything and do it.
But not in the same way.
But what I'm saying
is, like you're discussed, the whole lead times of things. Like if you're 6 months behind, you're kind of just 6 months behind, especially if you're trying to be like a competitor.
Right.
Like we could mill something out, but you're not playing out the stop.
Right. Yeah. So when it comes to keeping these secrets, it's one of those things of we try to keep them pretty tight-lipped, but then there's times that we need to reach out to guys like I did with Matt on the SCX-10.3. It's hard with me for you.
Oh yeah. Because
even though you're not you are a competitor on a different price point, and you work for Vanquish RC and you make 10 scale crawlers and scalers and that type of stuff, it's tough. I have a challenge with saying, well, let me talk to Josh about this and see what he thinks, because I can't.
And our industry is so small. Like you don't want to burn bridges in this industry, even between companies, because it's not a very big company. Sometimes stuff happens. You went to RC4 Drive for a bit. You're an RC guy, like you said, your whole life. Like that doesn't leave you with endless options unless you're leaving the market and then using just the knowledge of project management in another facility.
Right.
But so you went to what was natural to you, which was another RC. So if you're a dick, like they're going to know it.
Right. Right. They're going to tell you, go kick rocks. Yeah. Good luck. Yeah. Right.
And me, I am a competitor who has started social media early enough that I've somehow garnered enough people to come watch you and I talk in our houses about stuff we do
Right.
all day. Like, it's like,
Right.
I don't want to, but I'll send him a kit, I guess. No.
And it's funny too because it is a strange. I mean, you've got a pretty good setup there, and it's cool that Steve and those guys let you do this, where you do have the company and the brand that you
Mm-hmm.
work for, but they let you do this reviewing of the Element, the Axial stuff, and it does help you too because you guys are going to potentially make products
Yeah,
and parts for them as
possibly.
well.
It's, you never.
You know, it's on that, and it's possible, but it's a very unique situation. Like for me, it's I wouldn't have that opportunity. I couldn't go up on the YouTube and start doing let me review the Element, you know, that type of stuff. It's I couldn't do it because we're a distributor,
Right.
and you know, there's so many different things. So I'm a little jealous of the fact that you get to do this
And
stuff.
it's
You get to see some of this stuff
right.
early. You get to build some of this stuff. Um, but
I've
you
put
know,
myself in
also it's a lot of
a very interesting position, and it, you know, it affects all kinds of things. Like, you know, it is, I have to I have to do certain things in certain ways because it just is what it is. Um, you know, but like, I'm still an RC car fan though. Like, that's like, I do this because
right,
this is what I want to do, and then I get to work on it for a full-time job every day. Like, so,
right.
but it's a balance. We have there's no doubt about that.
Like I said, that's what impresses me about you. It's not to
Right.
kiss your ass or anything like that. It's just you do this during the day, and then you still go out here and build all these cars, and you do your YouTube channel. The passion there, it shows it, and it's pretty cool. You do your Scale News Network. I mean, or the Scale
Right.
News. What is it called?
Scan news update.
The Scale News.
But
Yeah, Scale News
yeah,
Update.
and
Yeah.
it's
So I watch that on
yeah,
Tuesdays. You know, I want to see what's going on. So it's pretty interesting. It's cool.
it
You do a
it
good
is
job
it's
at
a
that.
lot of work. But I do enjoy it. You know, it's almost like a separate hobby aside from the RC. You know,
Mm,
filming and editing, and you know, try and have parallel things that I enjoy, like metal fabrication. Like, I'm fabbing for RC cars, but when I'm working on some, you know, welding or things like that, it feels separate. It's like a whole different thing. So
right.
that's how I try and keep things as, you know, as separate as possible. But yeah, it is. It's not an easy thing. And you know, like, people go to different places when Horizon. You know, I'm friends with Schultz at Element. You know, I've known you since
Right.
2009 ish.
Right.
It's and while, you know, we of course battled on the forums in the days about
I always try to keep it as politically safe as I could
yeah.
because, but damn, you used to break my balls, man. Holy moly!
It-
But it's all
yeah, you
good.
know, it's just,
It's all good.
but there isn't all that many of us. We all talk. We all know who each other are. You know, we all
Right.
know who everyone else is on the peripherals, and we all have our little that
Right.
thing that bugs us. And and usually it will bug all of us, and we all can kind of come together about this.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I know what you're talking about too.
But
Yeah. You know, it's funny when you brought up John Schultz real quick. You know, he and I go back all the way back to '98.
okay,
I think is when I met him. '99, I think is when I first. No, wait, no, before that, '89. '89. I've known him since 1989. That's how long I've known John. So, it's funny because again, we worked together. We didn't work together. He's competitors, but either way, we still maintain this relationship where we're still pretty cool. We do take digs at each other here and there once in a while, but you know, we're
right.
still friends. It's still cool.
Yeah, that's, you know, yeah, it's like Schultz. He's a career RCer as well. I know he's had some other peripheral things as well, but you know,
Right.
HPI. He was at Horizon, Axial, Associated, like,
Yeah.
and, yeah. And I think he can still
Well,
walk into a lot of places. Even he's not even.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's funny.
But yeah, it's a fun
Excuse me.
market at the same time, and
Oh
you
yeah.
know, I've met a ton of friends out of RC cars. That's just, it's pretty crazy. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool.
yeah,
Cool deal.
we had a lot of questions. A lot of these questions that people are asking, we did cover earlier. So, you know, some of you guys I know haven't been in here the whole time. So a lot of that stuff we haven't. I'm not necessarily ignoring your questions, but they have been have been answered, you can probably circle back around on this conversation, which has been awesome. So it's disappointing that we lost Matt, but this was our first time trying this whole, having a guest on a thing, and actually I'm pretty happy with how it worked out, other than Matt's technical difficulties. So we'll see if we get a little last burst of questions in here, but other than that, Rich, hopefully we've got our events that we still get to attend here in the summer fall time.
Right.
That's, now, especially with you guys having a new car, it'll be fun to get out there and, take it to the events. Axial.
It's been fun. I enjoy coming in and talking and just BSing, because it's a nice getaway too.
Right. Even
though we're talking RC stuff, it's been a nice getaway, because either that I was going to go back and watch some more TV, and it's like, oh my God, I can't watch TV anymore.
Until you finish Tiger King, that's not a valid statement. But
all right, I know. I gotta go finish.
Listen, you won't understand.
I'll get it back on it tonight. You won't
understand half of the memes I post if you don't finish watching it.
I will go. I've seen them. I'm like, okay, I gotta go watch it, and so I can understand what the hell Josh is talking about. That's for sure. I saw someone post up. They just want to know what I mean. Bose headphones. I don't know which ones these are. They're quiet something or others. Someone posted that. I saw it kind of scroll through my screen. I'm watching on my TV as well in my garage.
Oh, see, you're all set up there. Matt has feeling hurt about the leaf springs and had to leave. His router got mad about it. So
I saw Rob Builder's kit. We answered that one already. It's not anytime soon. AR-45 straight axles. That's in the process.
Yeah, I saw that in the manual, which was a cool thing to see, that it's not, And I actually saw one of my friends overseas, Trial Psycho. He actually picked up that you could buy that gear set for the solid axles already. The replacement gears.
Yeah.
So
the replacement gear set comes with
huge thing.
Yeah, it comes with both of them. We just didn't include it just because we figured, well, this only gonna be portals for a while. Yeah. But the replacement part did come out, and it does have those extra gears, so you can even get more gear reduction in the portal set if you want to.
Right. But for the guys who don't know what exactly we're referring to, there's two gears just after the pinion and spur in the new transmission, and the portal setup is basically a 1-to-1 ratio of these two gears, but because of the gear reduction that the portal axles have. But if you take that portal out, you need that reduction back, and there's two gears you can swap in for more reduction. And if you want to, say you're swapping in some sort of straight axle, almost definitely a Vanquish, I would say. But no, but you can get this gear set and drop it in right away that Axial had already looked at for straight axles and be good to go. So that was actually really cool to see. He was the first one I saw post that. Maybe it's somewhere else, but I saw it on his Instagram the other day.
Yeah. So the replacement part for that 1-to-1 gear set comes with the extra gear reduction, and then people are asking about those axles. Yeah, we're working on them, but again, just like we were talking earlier, it takes time. We had to do the machines are all taxed right now, working on all the portal stuff and getting these XCS 10.3 kits out and other stuff too. So it makes it a little bit tougher to get these standard axles. Also, one thing, if we have some viewers, if they're interested, the other panhard bar mount that comes in the body mount bag, that is for a straight axle conversion.
Right.
It's not a replacement. It's not some people are thinking it's a replacement part. That's not what it's for.
Yeah, I actually did have that bit of info, because it's actually different than the one that you install. So you need to make sure that you pay. Actually, that one's in a separate bag, isn't it? It's in
spare
it is.
Parts
it's
bag. In the body post bag.
Yeah. So you shouldn't pick the wrong one up by accident, but it is slightly different even. So.
Yeah, I've seen people saying, "Oh, what's this for? Was this the first one before they started breaking them?" I don't know, whatever they say, but no, those are for when we do a straight axle conversion. And there's a little bit more work to the straight axle than they think. Oh, just throw straight axles on it. The links are a little bit different length. The panhard bar is a little bit different. Yeah, the panhard bar mount shocks are different length. So there's a lot in play that's kind of holding this process up a little bit. So. They are in the works, and it's obvious because of the manual, but It's just going to take a little bit of time.
The interesting question here, it just says, now being that you're at Horizon, all projects I don't assume are axial, but it just says how many projects, this one just says how many projects does Axial have pending. I'd just be more interested in how many projects you have to juggle at once. Do you get to stay pretty focused, or do you have to just ping pong around a list of things that you have going on?
They've kind of been pretty good with me on the Axial stuff because it's been so important for us to get the Axial going. But when I first started doing Axial stuff, I was working on the Rtr, the Baja, the low C Raptor Baja Ray.
Yeah.
I was working on some ECX micros that turned into a little bit of a disaster on those things. They were really cool, but the vendor couldn't maintain quality with those things. I was working on the Ascender F100. I was working on the 72 touring car, the Camaro from
Nice.
Viterra. I did the re-release on the C10. So I did bounce around all over the place. And I'd say we probably average juggling about 4 or 5 projects at a time. But they're all kind of staggered in different areas. But right now, luckily, my main focus has been Axial. So I've got quite a few that I'm juggling. And again, that's like I was saying earlier, we're all in different steps. So I could be coming up with a proposal for the next cool rig that I want to do for 21 or 22, while at the same time at the step where I have to do an item setup, which is a pain in the ass, where we actually build a BOM out for each replacement part. I assign part numbers, a description, a 32-digit description. So on the backside, our inventory works. And then I could be on another one where I'm reviewing instruction manuals and box art. So
yeah,
you're constantly all over the place. So when you guys beat me up on the manual because there's errors in it, okay, I'm trying to catch everything, and a lot of times I think I got them. And I even had Matt.
I will say that this manual on the SCX 10.3 was great. I caught a couple little things during the live feed, just a stupid little thing here and there.
Yeah.
I thought this one was great, especially for how much of the manual there is here. This has to be one of the biggest RC manuals, other than maybe this cross RC thing I just got. But this thing is day and night above that. So this one, and I won't apologize for my ball busting on the Capra manual, but
Oh, dude, that one, oh, man, that is so. Like I said, I wish people could. I wish people could see the amount of stuff going on, and we try to hit these things and get these manuals right. And that one was just, I had so much stuff going on at the same time, and I had to squeeze it out, and I thought I had nailed it. And you know what? The other thing too is we have a proofing process, and you can go through the proof. You can click approved with changes. So you're assuming that the person working on the manual caught every change that you requested, and then sends that file directly to the factory. I don't see it again after that. So as an example, on the typos, there's a bunch of little typos in the SCX 10.3. That was one of those things where I could swear I went in and caught some of those things, and they just didn't get changed. And those poor guys doing the manuals, they're doing manuals for Spectrum, Axial, Losi, ECX, Viterra, Blade, and all the airplanes, the trains.
And the chances of them having any interest or knowledge in what they're actually doing, I can imagine is like you're looking at graphics people, not RC people who are doing graphics, probably.
Right, and they want to push that thing out and get on to the next one. So I don't blame them for sometimes.
That was the thing for me, like when I was, back in my traffic days, I would be doing 1,000-page plan sets, big, huge, and I would have to redline every single thing, that I found but I'd be working on a project for 2-3 years at a time, 40, 50, 60 hours a week, and
wow.
But I'd redline a set of plans, and I'd give it to my drafts person, and I'd circle something and say, delete this, and I'd get back a manual thing, and it would have a circle around the note, and it'd say delete this on the plan.
No way. Oh my God.
This is your job.
That is, my gosh.
It's just, you run into the weirdest things. But no, that, it is, I imagine that it's a little bit, it's nice that you're going to be able to focus on a project, especially like the SCX3, which was, or is very, very important to what you guys are doing.
And by the way, we did update the manual, so I got 99% of the typos out of there. So you can go to the Axial Racing website, and I think they posted on the Horizon site.
Oh, gotcha.
You can download the updated manual, and then there'll be a running change eventually where the kits will have the latest version of the manual. So mostly typos. I didn't really. Some views are hard to clean up to make it easier for people to see, like the links and the shocks.
Link, like trying to see where they're supposed to. Yeah, there was a couple of those.
If you look closely, you could see the lines, but then but I'm so close to it, I'm like, oh, it just makes sense.
Oh,
or
yeah,
whatever.
For us, we
some
know
of those
where things go, and we just don't even think about it, and you just move on. And that's a lot of. It happens to us a lot. I know. When you know what you're looking for, lots of times you don't see what you should, which is.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We had a bunch of stuff come in here. I know I missed a lot of it once I started getting traffic talk.
You're not working on the SCX 10.4 or whatever it is. So no, we just got the 3 done. So no, that's not being.
When they say they're moving right on the next thing, probably a body.
Yeah.
Oh man, we had a bunch of this. So you guys have, you are in the California location for Horizon. And then, of course, there is the Champaign, Illinois, which is headquarters. Right? So,
right.
What is the develop? Are you guys splitting development at all? Are you guys trying to, things are changing all the time, I know. But.
Yeah. No, all surface development is in California.
Okay.
Except for Arma. Arma is still in the UK. Right. Yeah, so that team is still in the UK. All surface development is done for the other brands is all done in Southern California. But in Champaign, they handle instruction manuals. They do all the PO placements, the item setups for these things, all the background stuff. That's all done in Champaign and handled by our purchasing team, our marketing team, our manuals team, our legal team. Everybody's back there. That's where they're all at.
Yeah, and just all of the things that that get people don't think about or know about behind the scene. Legal team or electronics. Getting electronics certified or whatever it is to
the CE approved and that type of
stuff. So you can
and
import it and then be able to import it to other countries and that whole process and make sure that's.
There's a lot of background stuff people don't realize we got to deal with.
Yeah, okay, an interesting one. That I always know that, and trying to ask a question about what you're going to do next is kind of off. But this question is, is Axial going to stick to crawlers or will we see more faster stuff too? Which is all, now with Horizon especially having such a wide variety of,
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that comes up because it's like you have Arma, which is our high speed, Thrasher type, stunt rigs. You have Losi, which is again high speed stuff and more not scale oriented, but race inspired. Right. It looks like real race cars, that type of stuff. And then you have Axial on the scale stuff. It's like, okay, well, what if we wanted to do a scale hot rod? Or
like where
something
do you put
like that.
Now?
Where do you put that? Do you put it with low seat, but that's race inspired, and it's not going to necessarily perform the greatest you would think? Like a scale hot rod is not going to be super dialed on a track,
right?
Like let's say you did a live axle in the rear and some sort of independent front, and you wanted to make it look like a hot rod. Well, can it fit an Axial? Do you piss off the brand loyal people in Axial because you're making a scale car? Is it okay?
Right.
I don't know.
It's just an interesting hypothetical. Do you put it in Viterra, which has been a brand that maybe hasn't seen the popularity, and maybe just as that hypothetical situation goes, like, what do you guys do with Viterra? Is it?
Yeah, well, I'll answer that one. Quite frankly, it's done. Breaking news on Josh's channel. Viterra's pretty much done. We're still going to keep supporting the parts. Like, we're going to have replacement parts for a while. You'll still be able to get stuff for your Ascender. But expecting a brand new Ascender scaler, I'm sorry, you guys. I'm right here with you guys on Viterra. It's not going to happen. It doesn't make any more sense now with all the different brands that we have. So you're going to start to see that stuff go away. So yes, I'm breaking the news, and hopefully dealers don't get pissed, but it's just what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know what's going to happen with Axial on that end of it. It's a fine balance, because again, we don't want to piss off the brand loyal Axial guys and start bringing funky stuff that maybe doesn't make sense. But at the same time too, if you want to start developing cars that are scale and, you know, but it doesn't fit in Armor or Losi, you got to put it somewhere.
Right.
And it can't be ECX, because you're pigeonholed into a price point. Maybe you will see something in Axial that is either fast or whatever it's going to be. If we ever did anything like that, it would be scale.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be the only thing that would make sense for
Right.
an Axial brand thing off, off the normal path.
An Axial pontoon helicopter crawler. Yeah, that sounds.
Reinventing the game. I totally agree.
I had someone asking about the Viterra touring cars. If Viterra's dead, again, it's dead in a sense. You're not going to see a lot of new development for new platforms, but you'll still see the cars around and that type of stuff.
That Camaro was one of my favorite little on-road releases. Like the
72
3-piece, had the F-bomb type theme to it with the dark green and the. Yeah. You guys did such a good job with that body, like, and I think you and I talk a little bit like through messaging here and there, just some of the body stuff you guys do, like personally that was it the Tenacity TT Pro? You guys, the body that was on that thing, when I saw the release of it, normally short courses to me just look terrible. They got that squatty, wide.
Weird, right?
But you guys released that Tenacity TT Pro and that body. I was like, wow, that thing looks so well proportioned. And I had messaged you, or you had messaged me, one or the other way, and I had mentioned it, and you're like, oh, well, yeah, we want your Viterra body guy or something like that. But,
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah, and you're going to start seeing some really cool stuff from Losi as well, because prior to that, although it won't necessarily be licensed, you are going to see some more realistic looking race stuff. So that's a prime example of that truck body. We could have done another short course body, and it would have looked all stupid with those slanted roofs and the wing roof tops and all that stuff. But you'll start to see some of that stuff, and it's trickling out. Like the Super Rock Ray, it's got a lot of cool scale features on it. I don't know if you've ever looked at it, but the Super Rock Ray's got like the nets and fire extinguishers and things like that. So you'll start to see more of that stuff.
Which I think is just cool in general, the direction of the hobby. Like the attention to scale has kind of bled through almost all areas other than like strictly race. Like the 8 scale buggies and 10 scale like that stuff still looks like little race cars. But scale, the no prep drag racing, full bodied, looking like a Mopar or muscle car. It's cool though.
If you think about it, we've come full circle, because Tamiya started with full scale rigs or full scale looking vehicles, because that's how I got into it. I wanted the Sand Scorcher and the Rough Rider and the Tamiya Hilux, because they were scale and they look real. And then they got faster and faster. People started racing them, and then all the blobs started to come out.
Competitive.
Touring cars were. Yeah, dude, touring cars were so awesome at the beginning of the days, because you ran Tamiya bodies and HPI bodies. Now you go to a touring car race, and it's this pancake going around the track with a wing on the back, and it's like, that's what kills that stuff, and that's what scares me about, like I said, comping stuff. They start getting
if that really controls the market, the competition side, it keeps going that way. And I think that, like we touched on, is what'll keep our this question here is an interesting one to work off of. It says, does Axial kind of listen to their customers' opinions and thoughts and put it into their design? And I think that they clearly do, that every company clearly has to in some ways. It might not be like this guy's opinion, but it's the crowd feel of what the trends are. I mean, in all honesty, there's no denying that portals were a trend that Traxxas pushed, and that they made kind of feel like this have to direction to, there's no denying that. It just is what it is, and people want it. So it's like, okay, well, you have to adapt and move on, and that's customers and the voices. And while there's some customers, of course, saying that, no, we want straight axle. It's like, well, they're looking at customers' opinion, but we all see and know sales data at the same time. Like we have to use all of the information we have.
Right. But yeah, we do listen. We, I'm always on the boards. I spend a lot of time on the message boards. I'll check out RC Crawler, or I'll go on some of the Facebook groups and that type of stuff. I'll watch your videos. I'll go on YouTube and see what's going on, what people are building, that type of stuff, and I'll read the comments. So, yeah, we do listen, and sometimes you guys think we don't because you'll wonder why didn't we do what you wanted. But there's quite a bit that we do look and see what people want, and that's our goal. We want to listen to you guys and get you to buy what you want.
Right.
We do listen.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, in the end, we're all trying to bet the way that the most people would say to try and make money.
Exactly.
Like, all of us still have to pay our mortgage just like you guys. Like, if you're not buying it, we're not in jobs.
Yeah, exactly. But I get what that guy's asking. Yeah, we do listen. I do get, DMs and I'll tell you one thing too that's kind of a challenge. I think you can get this as well. You have people who want to give you ideas for a new product or stuff like that. And the challenge for us when we hear this is that I have to tell everybody, look, I appreciate you sending your ideas, but you got to understand, one, I can't compensate you. Two, it might already be in the works, so don't get pissed if it comes out and you're going to think it was your idea and then try to sue us. So it's a fine balance when we talk to these people. So I don't mind answering your questions, and if you want to give me an idea, whatever, just understand. And I always do this anyways when I respond to them. It's like, if you feel like giving it to me, okay. If you're hoping to make something off it, take it somewhere else, because I can't do that. That's not the way it works. It's just exactly that. It's like, and you can't say, I'm sorry, we can't use that. It's already in the works. Like, you can't say that. We can't tell. Right.
People ask all the time on the live feeds, especially, what are you going to be working on next? It's like, I'm not going to announce it in a live. Did I not tell you that we're working on this new 10x10 with 4 digs and a 9-speed transmission? Like, I totally forgot. I was going to say it during this live video that, 500 people are watching.
Right.
And I had to say the most ridiculous vehicle I could think of. Otherwise, people would think I'm serious. Like,
right, because they would believe it.
Like, I don't want a 10x10.
Josh said that. Someone would be on YouTube putting up a review on it right now.
Just based off pictures on the website.
Right.
Just you and I, though. It's just our faces.
Man.
I think that one more of the most important questions is, have you driven a Tamiya dancing rider yet?
I have not. I've seen your videos. I know. I need to get one of those things, man. I've been looking at that thing. It's like, that thing looks pretty cool. I got that. You know what I actually have? I actually bought one of those Tamiya semi-trucks to road race.
Oh, yeah.
They run like that spec class. But unfortunately, I got mine in. I literally got mine, sent it off to the painter to get my flame job on it. And our local track shut down. And I have no place to go race it now. So I have this kit that I haven't finished. And I told my painter, don't worry, I'm not going to build it anytime soon. But that one, I would like to do a dancing rider. What are some of the other cool stuff that I've seen? Like I said, I'm a hobbyist. I like this stuff. I want to get some stuff. I can't be seen running other people's stuff, but all the time, as long as we're not competing with it.
So if you get a dancing rider, we can be sure that Horizon isn't working on a 3-wheel leaning fever dream.
You can pretty much guarantee that one. Yeah.
That's my hopes.
Yeah. Well, who knows? Maybe I'll get one, and then maybe I'll throw it in the pipe. It's the same thing as like the fifth scale. Someone was asking if I've ever ridden fifth scales. The fifth scale was my first original project. One of my original projects. I worked on the 5T. The Losi 5T. Yeah. So I was working on the 5T at the exact same time I was working on the Losi micro crawler. Oh. How would you like to have those parts coming across your desk? A fifth scale and a micro. I'm going from little screws like this to freaking wrenches and stuff. So I did get to run with the fifth scales and had some fun doing that for a while. And then I got it to a point where I wasn't really good on gas engines and clutches. So Gary Kais, it made more sense for him to do it. He used to race quarter scale back in the day. Gary Kais was the VP of Losi and then became a senior developer for Horizon when that changed because we didn't need a VP for Losi anymore. So he took over that stuff. So someone asked about fifth scale, and I used to do fifth scale and actually worked on the prototypes.
So what is this? Is just the curiosity in me, just because I know mine. But like, what is your actual like work situation? Like, are you building a fifth scale at a desk? I mean, my
So
work, I'm on a desk, like a cubicle style desk. It's like not cubicles. Like we took all the walls down, but like basically we're just
right.
desks.
We do have cubicles. I have a cubicle. I'm a senior PD, so uh, I was able to, and fortunate enough to get quite a little bit bigger cube. But honestly, the reason they gave me is because I'm working on so many damn projects that I needed more room than a standard cube. But our standard cubes are basically like a workbench size desk, and it kind of, you have a room for your computer, and then you turn around, you have a small workbench behind you. So yeah, it's pretty small. I've got so much junk stacked up in mine. I was able to get a bigger cube than some of the other guys, but yeah, I could really use a little bit more
Yeah,
space. It's crazy,
that's you know,
you know.
I have I have a tendency to kind of spread out wherever I am. Like I just start like claiming real estate. Like
Oh, dude, you should see Matt's old
oh
office. I've got all my boxes stacked in there right now because his office was across from my cubicle. And so when he left to go start his business, I was like, oh, I'm, yeah, don't mind me. I'm just moving. So I don't need to have the
I'm
office. I don't
just
need to
gonna
have
use
an
this
office, but
storage.
I'm just going to store some stuff in there. But one of the things that makes it tough is that if I'm working on 3 or 4 projects and I start getting samples, the vendor usually sends me 5 of each sample. So imagine getting 5 of each or 10 of each sample for the SCX-10 III. You know how many parts are on
Right.
that thing? Dude, I've got boxes of stuff that I'm supposed to try and build vehicles and store in a cubicle, and then I have the next project coming, and it's like it's tough, but we make it
Yeah,
work.
and
You know,
I can imagine that, especially just that that struggle getting that, fifth scale things and it's just I will that again being on my side, what I was really impressed about with the SCX-10 III was how compact you got the box. Like
oh, I know,
like
right?
I got it and was like, because like for me now the weirdest things that I'm like all of a sudden like so interested in, it's like, man, shipping costs would really go down if I could get a box this small for a kit. Like I'm fascinated
Yeah.
with the dumbest things now. Like,
What's funny is that's the Ascender. That's the Ascender
is it
box.
the kit? Is
Same
it the
die
same
line
one?
from the
The
Chevy
K5.
K5 Blazer
How
kit.
did you fit that K5 body in that box?
I it fit, and I thought the same thing when the vendor said, "Oh, we're going to use this one." I'm thinking, "There's no way." That's why when Matt got his sample, it came in the Ascender box because it was a proof to show me that they could actually pack everything in there and make it
I
work.
was
So
so excited to see
it
he
was
left
kind
that in the video. Like that's pretty funny.
of it was pretty funny too when I showed it to Randall because Randall's hardcore
Right.
Axial, and
Still has
Viterra
this
was the
built-in
competition.
competition bug in his head. Like,
Yeah, I get the box out. Look, Randall, I got my Viterra. Oh, it's the SCX-10 III. That shouldn't be in that box. But yeah, all good fun.
yeah, and
Yeah, you know what too? Someone's asking for the extras. If people want to know, you guys would die when you see the stuff that I
oh
toss.
God, I
Oh
will
my God, people.
I will, even one. We had like a cleaning day at our shop one day, and I remember scrapping a 55-gallon drum of just like random extra parts. Now that I see people selling like 3 of these random rings for $120, I'm like, you should have seen the 55-gallon drum of those that I scrapped. Like,
Right,
like
they
they would just
toss.
like
Yeah.
just their insides would burn. Like,
Oh, I know. It's terrible. I feel bad. I mean, it's for me. I love it because I'm like, I got space, but I'm literally dumping Capra cages, Capra axle
yeah,
housings. Just
and it's part of it is
you
like
know,
you don't like this thing got set aside and we don't know if it was because something was off or there was something wrong or
right?
was there an issue, and it's like there's literally not enough time in the day to go through and be like, this is okay, I'm going to keep it, this is
Yeah,
bad, we're going to throw it.
right.
Like it's just you got to make a decision, and me as a hobbyist, like it hurts me a little inside. Like even
Oh
now, every
yeah.
once in a while, I'll have like a bad part. And I'm like, oh, I gotta throw this away. Like, and I'm not gonna
Yep.
like. I've got a drawer or 2 or 5 full of parts that should have just been thrown away. But I'm like, I'm keeping it. Like I can't do it.
I'm a hoarder. I still have Viterra stuff. I've got all kinds of stuff that is like, I might use that. I still have from the comp crawler the little wire guide I have a bunch of
The
those.
little, the
So
little,
underneath the front battery plate had the little hoops
uh-huh.
for the motor to go through, like the wires. I still have those. I've kept those because it's like I might use those. I haven't used them in 9 years,
Right.
whatever it is, but
You know, I've got a,
yeah,
I've
it's
got
tough.
a little hood from our Ripper project back here, and
Oh, huh.
it's too thin. It was like, it's almost
Oh,
foil thin in a spot. Like you can touch it and you can feel that the thickness isn't there. Like you, but it's, I'm like, I'm not throwing that
right,
away. Like that's not,
right.
nah,
Oh,
I'm keeping that.
yeah,
Like, just like
yeah,
it's a worthless piece of aluminum that we would never let get out, but it's like, oh, I gotta have it. I can't do it.
yeah.
There's,
Yep. It's tough. I feel bad when I throw that stuff out and destroy it, but like you said, some of it's just not usable. Or I know there's a lot of customizer that would love to use that stuff, but it's
yeah,
just we
and it's
can't
like
do it. It's
how
got
are
to
you?
go.
It's like the manpower to distribute or advertise it. Like
Right.
it sucks. It's like, you know, it's a
Yeah.
thing. Like someone's saying here, dumpster dive at VP and Axial. Like, d- d-
Yeah, and you see, and what somebody put here too is like you can give it to some kids locally. There's not enough parts, unfortunately. To I'm not throwing away complete
right.
kits. It's like 90% of a kit or 75% of a kit. There's not enough steps there that anybody could really like. We're not doing that, but
Yeah,
yeah,
and
it
like
still
you
would
said,
hurt
it's
that
like you
if
don't
you
know if
wanted
it's a bad part. Like, was something off? We
to.
made
Right.
a change. Like, I don't remember. Is it like you don't know? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's the little things for me.
Yep.
You know, coming into the industry and learning some of the like, or just coming to realize like how a lot of this, how that happens. Like, it's it
Yeah.
sucks, and like when you first start, it's the worst because you really just like, I'm not letting go of any of it. Like, this is mine now.
Oh, dude, it's funny. Travis Bear is one of our new engineers. He's actually been on the feed. I've seen him answering questions and asking questions and stuff. I call him Burtek. The reason I call him Burtek is our waste management here in our area. Dude, anything I've got, I just, hey, Travis, you want this? Yup. You know, he's the new guy. He's only been here like 6 or 7 months. He takes every single, he's got piles of stuff. I'm like, dude, you're the new guy. You're
Yeah,
going to enjoy it. So, Travis, I know
yeah,
you're
just
watching him.
get it out of your
Maybe you
system for
still
a
watch.
while. You know, that's
Yeah. He's got so much junk, dude.
well,
It's so
yeah, and you
funny.
know, like they're saying dumpster dive. Like for us, it's like, well, for one, uh, we could never leave that stuff in a dumpster because our shop is not in a fantastic area, and if you had like
Uh,
scrap aluminum outside, like the, you know, like the neck scratchers, those people would be all over. Like,
oh, yeah.
can I get that for a quarter?
Right.
So that stuff is always under
Yeah.
pretty close guard. Sorry to break that.
Yeah.
Our dumpster is
Yeah.
just
And we
dumpster.
do too. Yeah, our actually we have a compactor. It's all sealed up and caged and stuff. So some of that stuff can go in the dumpster. Other stuff we'll actually send to someone that'll destroy it
Yep.
for us. So if any of you guys are thinking about it, you're wasting your time. There's nothing there
Yeah.
for you, and it's random too. We don't. It's not like every Monday we toss the stuff out. It's like I could be after a project and 6 months later, like, why am I keeping this stuff? And then go dump. So you never know when
One
it's
of
going
the
to
guys
go.
in here says, he said, Josh, it sounds like your bin's full of links of different sizes, because I literally, I have bins in here of organized links, which I'm gonna,
Oh, I saw that the other day when you were looking for one.
and these are specifically because of that time in my, when I started. Yeah. And these are mainly all like trash links. Like, I have a ton of titanium in here that we were throwing away at a time because it when it came through, it basically has a spiral all the way around it. And it's just like, they're links
Oh,
that could never be sold then, because it's just like it's you can feel the
right.
groove. But I was that new guy. I'm like, hey, I used to pay $10 for each of those links. I'm taking it. It's mine now. Like,
Right, right.
and then I end up with
Yeah, I'm telling you.
organized link boxes of, you know, hundreds and hundreds of links.
Dude, when we get back in the office, I got to take a picture of his desk and I'll send it out to you guys so you guys can see it. We'll post it somewhere. It's so fun.
It-
It is
you
so
know,
funny. But like I said, he's the new kid and he's really good at his job. He's coming along pretty well and he's got some cool stuff. So he's actually working on some axial stuff for us too. So he's an enthusiast. He's into tanks, big time, and then he's big time into the scale stuff as well. So his dad, and his uncle all run RC stuff, all scalar stuff. So he's got his dream job right now. And I remember being that young kid and all that stuff.
It's,
So,
but it's
it's
actually so important to like have that as people come in
Yeah.
that aren't coming in as just a job, but like come in with that and that knowledge and that the passion side of it, because you need that to then move along.
Yeah.
And it's super important.
Yeah, we had an experiment many years ago where they brought in. They thought it'd be a cool idea to bring in an engineer designer that knew nothing about cars, nothing about RC, because maybe he'll come up with something by looking at it, and will come up with something unique and whatever. So I get the concept. However, it failed so bad. Like he spent some time drawing up this car, and when it was done, it was like they literally let him go. Like 2 weeks later, like that was a waste of time. Holy cow! Like they kind of worked with him and gave him some leeway, but then like I'll give you an example. We're doing some like this was even prior to Viterra, but we're kind of doing some detail stuff, and he came up. He wanted to do a 3-spoke wheel on a buggy. And it was like, remember like those old chrome Momo or Inky wheels way back in the day, and it was just like a rounded
they were
spoke.
The worst.
Yeah, that's what he wanted to put on this buggy he was designing. That it was like it was just a bad experiment. So that was, I mean, this was years and years and years ago. Horizon like had barely taken over, and we wanted to try something a little different, and yeah, that didn't work. I can't remember his name, but yeah, it didn't work.
Well, after that story, he probably doesn't want you.
Yeah. I think he was designing copy machines or printers or something like that. And because he kind of knew about belt drives and gears, they thought maybe this guy will work and he can come up with something cool. And they let him kind of run with designing a car. Let's see what he comes up with. And yeah, it didn't last long.
Yeah. The passion for it, I think that it's important to find those guys, and hopefully they're, also then, good people to have inside because you have a passion for something doesn't necessarily make you a good contributor to things. So it's hard to find.
Yeah, we've had a few of those.
It's hard to find both. The Axial RC tank. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's what Travis
right.
wants.
That's how you're seeing that. I can see how this is gonna trickle down. But man, this was a good time, Rich. I'm glad we got
it was
this.
cool. It was good
someone
times.
had asked in here your Instagram.
Oh, old RC. Was it old RC underscore Rich, or was it
Rich
old
underscore RC?
What is it? I don't know. Hang on, let me see here.
Let's see. Let's look it up. Just
old RC underscore Rich.
There you go. So,
dude, I just broke 2,000 followers. Look at that. I don't know why people want to follow me.
Hey, it's so that they can see when you're going to overseas somewhere, and they can actually they can predict the new vehicles, and they can play my fun game.
Yeah. Right, there you go. And I do a lot of those on purpose to see who's going to catch on to what.
I'm telling you, I like it. It's always interesting.
That's why. Yeah, I think. I had to wait to post up some of that stuff when we were out there in Utah, because we were worried that some people would figure it out.
And then come to where you were
and would come out. Yeah, so we waited till I think Friday when we were on our way down to start posting pictures of where we were at and stuff. So.
I could see that. Like when we go out to film videos, it's like it's not that often. Like I'm going to say this now, and then I'm going to have to never do it again either. But like when we go out to film videos, we go and do it during the week, And
right.
There is occasions when we'll go test something during the week and we'll be out crawling somewhere. But like not that many times. So sometimes, like we'll be out like testing somewhere and I post pictures in like really nice area. And like I don't know when I should post this, because if I do it now, it's going to look like I'm testing or filming or.
Yeah.
So
yep.
Now I'm going to have to do those and then hold off on posting them until the weekend when it looks like I should be there.
Yeah, my fun part was when I was testing the SCX-10.3, I was doing a lot of it out here at Southridge. And again, this is where like the LA Crawlers and the Crazy Callers and Renegade Rock Runners, there are a bunch of groups in our area. And I would think I'd go out there at a time that nobody would be out there, and dude, it doesn't matter. Someone would come out there, and I'd have to go run onto the other side of the hill. So I ran a JK body on the SCX-10.3 so that if somebody came up, it would look like it was just a regular SEX10 too, but then I have to go run on the other side, and then I'd be done with testing because too many people would come around and
Yeah,
do that. So that was tough to.
Brad Perry lives up in this area. Brad, he's a crazy ultra marathoner, RCer. You know, he did like 50 miles in 24 hours running behind a bomber. But he's also a really good photographer, and he knows the Sierras super well. So like, hey, we need to grab some photos. So Brad is just the guy. He's great, and we'll go out and shoot photos. And, you know, we're in this random spot in the Sierras somewhere where he's like, oh, I know this rock that we used to go boulder on. I'm like, all right. So we go out to this random road, random taking pictures there. And some guy walks by and goes, oh, is that an Axial? Like, I'm like there is nobody else around here. And all of a sudden you pop out from behind some rock like Mr. Deeds and just like,
yep.
And luckily, it doesn't like no.
It happens.
Oh God.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah, it's
well, cool. I had a good time. I know we're on 3 hours. The time flew, and you know, maybe you guys will have some other people to come on. I don't mind coming back any other time you guys want to shoot the poop or whatever. I enjoyed it. Plus, it's a break from what I'm doing. But thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate it. It was a good time.
Looks like everyone had a good time here too because we had a bunch of people. So. Thanks again, Rich.
Cool.
We'll chat obviously, so we don't need all the formals. But
yeah. Right on.
we'll end the stream and call it good. I appreciate all you guys watching. Hit the like button before you leave. All the YouTube things that you have to say at the end.
Subscribe and all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And
next time, hopefully Matt upgrades his router to a 4-link or something. So anyway, all right, we'll call that the end of the live stream. See you guys.
All right, see you, Josh.